What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another day, another episode of 30 NSG. On today's show, we're going to be talking about Dune Awakening. We're also going to be talking about Sony has a super fungible token for gaming, and we're also going to talk about the Escape from New York game. There's been some artwork that's been found out that it could be in the works, so we're going to take a look at that because we like those type of games, right? We like nostalgia type of games where, you know, it could be like a RoboCop, could be like a Terminator game, which Terminator game is coming out, right? We had a RoboCop game. There was a Rambo game a couple years ago. Now there could be a Escape from New York type of game. So we'll take a look at that. If you like what we do here, we just read the news, have conversations, and we go over stuff and just have, you know, like I said, conversations. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, you can become a member as little as $5. We're live Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. We do uploads, we do gameplay, we do podcasts. I'm lining up some guests for later this year. Everyone's schedule is really hard to get in, and I have guests coming on the show that are not even gamers. I have just YouTube personalities that I've reached out to that we might bring on the show, and we're still working on stuff. So appreciate you guys tuning in for all the stuff that we do here on this channel. What's going on, Kylo? What's going on, Eclipse? Kylo says, morning. Sweet Baby Inc. drama is great to see. Dupless just put something in our Discord about, from 2019, the Sweet Baby Inc. person was talking at the GDC about stuff. And it was just a clip. And I was just like, I don't like just seeing clips. I like to see the whole context of the stuff. And it was a 29-minute long video. I watched it right before a stream. I watched that 2 times speed, listening to her and whatnot. And it's just funny to me that a lot of people, it's what is presented to us, right? Hollywood, okay, surprise, is created by white men, okay? From the old days to now, it was run by white men, okay? But to actual facts, right? White people, okay, because this is what they always want to tell you, is that white people are the dominant people in the world. And we're not. We're less than 10% of the world population compared to everybody else. Now, this is me not crying or anything like that. It's just a lot of people think that the marginalized people in the world, right, or the minorities are other races and stuff like that. But literally, me, a white man, is the most minute person on this planet, but you don't hear me crying about it, okay? The reason that certain characters in video games, okay, like Kratos and Nathan Drake that she brings up in this video that I watched, she's like, I want to see myself in video games. You can go make those video games. You can make those characters and have those people that buy those games and want that, but you're talking about a niche of a niche of a niche. Unfortunately, video games are bought and paid for in the past, majority by males. Not white males, males. Okay? Now, as the industry has changed over the last 40 years, it's like 40% to, you know, it's like 46% to like 52% male to female ratio. This is not taking racial skin into consideration here. This is just males and females. It's almost a 50-50 split now, right? And certain people are drawn to certain games and other people are drawn to other games. Like, take race and sex out of it, right? Some people like playing the Dark Souls games. Some people like playing strategy games. Some people like playing the sim games. Some type, right? It's all different types of people, races, okay, that play certain games and certain things. So now you're taking a pie and cutting it down to more finite niche communities for to find people to do it, right? So it's funny to me where she talks about, like, she wants, like, where I have to play like white Kratos, she does in this video. I have to play as white Nathan Drake. Well, Nathan Drake and Kratos were established characters, okay? So obviously if Nathan Drake's established and he's white in the start, and then they make 2, 3, 4 Uncharted's, it would be a little strange to change Nathan Drake in, like, number 3 to a black man, right? Because he's already established. It would be weird to change Kratos from the god that he is where he is established as a white guy to change him at a later date. Okay? And this is where they miss the point. This is where she misses the point inside her talk at GDC. She wants to see herself in video games, which you can do. She talks about a Mass Effect where she played Shepard, and you could create your character. And this is why I loved Mass Effect. You could create the character that you wanted to create. Okay? You can make it look the way you want to look. And more games are getting like that. When you play MMOs and stuff like that, you can create the person that you want. Blue hair, pink hair, long hair, short hair, white guy, black guy, Chinese guy. Doesn't really matter. You can make the character that you want to make. And that's awesome. Other than that, first-person games, if it's not story-based, doesn't really matter because you can't see yourself. You're just a fantasy character. Okay? But if it's an established character, this is what people have problems with, right? Changing the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, no one's a turtle here. Nobody's a turtle here. But if you change the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from male to female, people are going to have issues because they were established as male characters, right? If you establish a Transformer, which is not a human, but you change Optimus Prime to a girl, people are going to have issues, right? Because these are established characters. We're not mad that you're bringing characters into the world of gaming and movies. We're upset that you're changing the characters that we have that are established into what you feel because you want to make yourself into that character. These are the difference. Right, Water. There are female turtles, but what I'm saying is they think the problem is that we don't want to see diversity in video games. But the problem is we don't want to see you taking established characters and changing them. That's what it is. Right? You know what I mean? Don't force the people in games. Write your own stories with inclusive characters. Red Dead Redemption 2 has so much diversity. That's another thing, right? She brings up bringing John Marston in a Red Dead briefly. And obviously, Red Dead Redemption 2 takes place during a period piece, right? It takes place during the Western times. Well, during Western times, not to say there wasn't black cowboys there, but talk about the minority of stuff, right? Like, they're trying to represent a period of time during that time span, right? Hence why there's not a black main character. You know what I mean? I will never buy another Sims game. What EA has done to the franchise is criminal. Oh, talking about the Sims, right? I stopped playing the Sims. I stopped playing the Sims back in, I want to say 98, 99, I think is when I stopped. I remember the day, right? I was still living at home. I was in my late teenage years. We were playing the Sims. And there was a point, and this is before EA ruined it and whatever. I just looked at it and said, why am I doing this? I'm playing more time and sitting here controlling a character to make him go to the bathroom, and I'm forgetting to eat, right? And I said, I'm never playing a game like this again. I'm never playing The Sims again. So it's an interesting video. It's in the Discord in our submitted stories. Duplass put the little clip there, and then there's a little thread if you guys want to see it. I don't want to cover it on the show, but obviously I just covered it a little bit. But I just find it funny. I just find it funny because a lot of people, the way they preach to people is that in America, the blacks are the the minority of what they want to tell you. But in the world, right, they're not, right? Chinese people, Asian people are huge amounts, right? White European people, white men, as everyone hates, right? Everyone hates white men right now. That's the hot topic, right? Be diverse, be inclusive, but hate white people. That's what a lot of these organizations like to do. It's just funny to me, right? I don't want to get political or anything like that. I just do your research, go out there and look at stuff, and don't judge people by the color of their skin. You have no choice in the color of your skin, right? It's beautiful that a white person can get with a black person, and then they make a mixture of a person, of a Milano person, right? And the more the years pass, more diverse our population gets until they get to a certain point, and then everyone will just hate each other and they'll hate themselves. It'd be very weird. Right? Stop Asian hate. Yeah, there's hate for everybody. Salty. There's dabbling of hate everywhere. Alien says, sometimes I wonder if I'm weird for not feeling the need to see myself in video games. sometimes I wonder if I'm weird for not feeling the need to see myself. I don't think you're weird. You know what's funny? In this video that I'm talking about, Alien, she's a black woman, right? And she talks about when she was a kid, and she shows a picture of herself as dressed as Batman, right? She's wearing a full getup of Batman, and she's a kid, and she's talking about how she wants to see herself as characters. And I'm like, as a kid, you didn't really care that Batman was a man, right? You thought Batman was cool, hence why you're wearing underoos of Batman character, right? Because you were pretending, if you were a Batgirl or whatever, you were wearing a Batman outfit, and you were imagining as a kid, and you were just pretending that you were Batman, right? To then later grow up to then hate the thing that you loved because you didn't see yourself as Batman. But obviously you did, right? Obviously it didn't matter that Batman was a man, okay, and then he was wearing a bat outfit. You were just, as a kid, you were like, yeah, this is awesome. I'm wearing a Batman outfit. He says, I wish more black Americans would travel more. It would also give them a new world view. I think that goes for anybody. I think a lot of people, there's a lot of people. I go to this breakfast place over here, and there's people, very country, right? A lot of people that have never left this town. And I'm not talking about, like, leaving the town to go to a different state. There's a lot of people that have never left this town, right? This city. They've never been outside the boundaries of what this city is. And that blows my mind, because I'm a person that's, I've been to almost every state in the United States. I've been to Europe, right? I've been to Canada, right? I've been a lot of places. And it boggles my mind that people are so closed-minded and they think that whatever they see around them is it. That's it. Alien says, I mean, to me, playing a game is much more fun if you take the totally different personality of your own, including race and sometimes sex. Yeah, Alien, I play a lot of female characters. Now, a lot of people would look at that and go, my Division character is a woman. Okay? The third-person game, I'm staring at a woman. Okay? Do I identify as that woman? No. Just wanted to pick a woman. Right? Alterm says, look, looks like someone has a child trauma that needs to be worked on. Yeah, I just find it weird, right? Like, I like Rogue. I'm a white male. Liking a white female, right? I think she's a badass character. And they're going to ruin her in the new X-Men, right? Salty says a lot of men just love playing a woman just for the sake of it. Yeah. And a lot of people look down on that, Salty. They're like, "Whoa, how do you play? You're trying to fool me." Like, if you play an MMO and you're a female, there's guys out there that'll think that you're trying to what's that term? Catfish them. And I'm like, "Oh, for God's sakes." Like, I'm just playing a game. I'm not trying to have a relationship with you. I'm not going as far as role playing, being like, "Hey there, big boy." Yeah, you know, like I'm not doing any of that. All right, I'm just playing the game, and my character's my character. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Sweet Baby Inc. because more is being stirred up. Again, the clip that was posted in our submitted stories, out of just the context of that, it looks terrible. But then I watched all 29 minutes. It doesn't look terrible, but it also doesn't look good. What's your opinion on possible Gravity Rush remaster this year? I don't even know. What's Gravity Rush, Cutler? I gotta look that up. What's Gravity Rush? Never played it. Never played it. So I have no opinion on it. Mo says, if you don't know I'm a dude by my gamer tag, then you're an idiot. Go on, Mo. Yeah, it looks like it's a PS Vita. No, never played it. So my opinion on a remaster, I don't like remasters. So I don't like remasters. I would rather than make a new game than a remastered game. Like, I would like the Battlefield 3 to come out. Or, I'm sorry, Battlefront 3 to come out. Instead of the Battlefront 1 and 2 that are coming out. But I'm going to buy Battlefront 1 and 2 collector's thing because I'm a fan of it. But if Gravity Rush was just coming out and it was remastered and you're a fan of Gravity Rush and you like it, then buy it. I guess this means I can't play GTA 6. That's right. If there's a female character in there, you can't play it. Slater says, anyone think the Xbox controller and console refresh comes sooner than rumors? Rumors itching the new hardware. I don't know if it comes sooner. It'll probably come out this Christmas or something. I don't know. I mean, who knows? I like how they said there was no mid-gen refresh, and then there is a regen refresh, but there's not a regen refresh. It's just the same box, but now it's white, and it's going to have no disk drive type of stuff. Who knows? Bo says PlayStation's used to remasters. That's all I got. I might actually pick up Ghost of Tsushima PC. I am going to pick up Ghost of Tsushima, right? These are the same people that told me that Ghost of Tsushima wasn't coming, and I think it is coming. Now, there's rumors that it's coming. It's not official that it's coming. But if Ghost of Tsushima is on PC, I'm going to pick it up because I didn't want to buy it for PlayStation 4. I wanted to buy it for the PlayStation 5 and a better experience. But then I didn't buy a PlayStation 5, and now that it's coming for PC, I don't need a PlayStation 5. Why buy a $500 box just so I can play an older game when I can just play that game now on PC? If and when it comes out. Whoever said Ghost isn't coming to PC, or like Mo, said idiots. Well, I can go back. I can go back to a lot of past broadcasts and lots of people's channels saying that it's not coming, and then all of a sudden, PC games were coming from Sony. I don't know. It's easier. It's really easy to look at now when you're in the moment, but in the past when people denied it, that's the good part. Pulling those receipts up is nice and fun. Quintar says, rumor since last year was confirmation from the devs Ghost is coming, just don't know when. Well, my point is, a lot of people just 3 years ago, not even 3 years ago, said that PC games would never come, or sorry, PlayStation games would never come to PC. And then they started coming to PC. And everyone's like, oh, of course they're coming to PC. Right? And then those same people are now saying that day and date will never happen. And then it did happen. And people are like, well, that's just for live service games. It's never going to happen for first-party titles. And then it will. And then those people will be like, of course it was. Everyone knew that. If you didn't think that was going to happen, then you're just an idiot. Sony has Ghost of Tsushima TV series coming out. Oh, do they? That'd be interesting. So, Mike, I'm right about day and date by 2024. I think that timeline, Mo, for first-party titles is approaching much faster now because of what's happening right now in the industry. Sony finally saw the light. Aren't leaving money on the table anymore. That's right. I was waiting for Ghost on PC, but it never happened, so I bought my PlayStation 4. I have a PlayStation 4, and the only thing I play on it is Spider-Man. That's it. My son likes to turn it on every once in a while, just so he can swing through the city. I have Spider-Man and Miles Morales, and I have a couple other games on there, but I never turn it on. And there's no reason for me to buy a PlayStation 5 at this moment. The music's a good sound, right? A good volume. Because I've noticed in my past broadcasts, like I go back and watch my other stuff, you can barely hear the music. So now you can hear it. I believe for most, when they say never, they mean the next 5 years because they aren't smart enough to vision cast past that. I think you're giving them way too much credit, Krebsy. I think you're giving them way too much credit for even saying that. I think when they say never, they mean never. Victor says, I got my PlayStation 5 version of Ghost of Tsushima, and it's awesome, playing the long game. Haven't finished it yet, but Act 2 is such a good game. If they go day and date consistently, then bye-bye getting a PlayStation in the future. Music is a good level. But there's going to be people, and here's the thing, Salty. People will still buy a PlayStation console, right? Because are those people that are still buy a PlayStation console. But console sales will drop dramatically, but they're still going to make more return on investment. Because now a shit ton more people that own a PC, okay, will be able to buy their games, right? I think the 1.4 billion people, which is 10 times the market of them ever owning a PlayStation 4, right? PlayStation 2 is the highest one ever with 155 million, right? 1.4 billion people own a PC that potentially could buy their games now. That the 54 million people that didn't want to buy that bought a console. So I personally would rather take 70% of 1.4 billion than 100% of 54 million. But that's just me. And everyone's like, no, they'll never do it. Look at Nintendo. Nintendo's a different... Nintendo doesn't need to do it because they are literally selling like to 1/3 of the population that owns a Switch or any Nintendo system 30, 40, 50 million copies of their game. PlayStation would die for those numbers. Right? You gotta add up all 3 Spider-Men to get what like Mario Kart sells. You gotta take the whole series of God of War to get what a Zelda sells. All right, so the first thing we want to talk about today is Sony. Sony developing a super fungible tokens. Remember those things, the NFTs, fungible token that you could use in your video game, and then they would, you know, if they sold you stuff in the game, you would be able to move that over to the next thing, right? So Sony's developing super fungible tokens for gaming. A patent reveals that Sony could be developing a super fungible token for gaming that can be used on multiple games and may be transferable. I like how the maybe part. Okay, according to a new patent, Sony may be developing a super fungible token to purchase game assets. Non-fungible tokens, also known as NFTs, have received a mixed response since being introduced in recent years, but the idea from Sony may be more enticing for gamers. The gaming industry is constantly evolving, and the patents play critical roles for achievements. Now, Sony is also amongst the big video game corporations to make regular advancements via the patents. Some recent Sony patents include that could allow players to take voice of the video calls in-game and age restriction systems that could lock PlayStation accounts. That another adapts difficulty to players' level skills, gifting in-game items, and such become popular in current-gen consoles, with games like Fortnite, Rocket League, Minecraft offering the options. Steam may also provide gamers the ability to gift games to their friends, potentially opening the door for new audiences to experience them. Sony seems to be working on a super fungible token that could also be exchanged in similar manner. According to the new Sony patent, the gaming company is working on an ability for players to purchase and exchanging a new type of token. The patent is called for super fungible token that consists of multiple non-fungible tokens in one package. Tied for these NFTs are various gaming assets that can be applied to the multiple types of games. The patent references athletic sports fighting games as examples, suggesting that franchises like Madden NFL or Street Fighter could benefit from the concept. Although players are currently gift games or in-game items to their friends of specific platforms or games, and there are also very fewer methods to exchange currency on these platforms. Sony's super fungible token could allow players to gift a one-time use token that's tied to a certain game asset. So how does the super fungible token work? All right, well, set of games here moves down to game asset here, which is in the metadata and the metadata reception. Super fungible token, token creation, first game, first user input, first gaming assets, enabling, goes down to the second gaming asset, and then second asset, gaming asset. Okay, so the Sony super fungible token uses metadata to recognize these games' assets are tied to and based on the player's inputs. This could presumably include skins or other potential variants of the in-game item, weapons, or abilities beyond potentially exchanging items with other players using the super fungible token. The patent references a player accessing individual NFTs in a token at one time, and this may suggest that the players could take something from one game and use it in another. Any idea to discuss Ubisoft and other companies looking for NFTs, this will also seamlessly rely on these games dubbed gaming applications in the patent and allow you to use such super fungible tokens. Okay. While most gamers currently fungible digital currency in storefronts like PlayStation Store and Steam, this super fungible token could provide alternative ways of exchanging things with friends, giving somehow people to express a desire to use NFTs in multiple games, and Sony's patent could expand the idea of including multiple NFTs. Here's what I think about this. I think it's stupid. Okay, but at the same time, I see people, obviously, gifting on YouTube worked, right? Someone that wouldn't spend the $5 for a membership, somebody else would also gift them a membership, okay? Now, obviously, it's a little different because in gaming, if I play a God of War and all of a sudden I buy a skin, I gift a skin to somebody else, right? Then they can use that. But that works if, let's say, PlayStation 6 comes out and then all their first-party titles have these things in there where you can purchase a skin, a helmet, a sword, whatever, right? It works great when the system first comes out. But then the longer the system's out, I think more it goes down. And the reason for this is people don't know if it's going to move over to the next thing that they buy. Like if you buy stuff from PlayStation 5 and they implement this, is it going to move over to PlayStation 6? Is this more work for them in the long run, or do they do what Fortnite did, right, in the beginning, where some skins wouldn't come over from 4 to 5, and you would have to buy those things over again? I don't know. These fungible tokens, these NFTs, they tried this just a couple years ago, right? What was that game that did it? There was a game that did it where you had armor pieces come out, and I forget what it was. Was it CSGO? It wasn't CSGO. Was it Call of Duty? Chat, help me out here. Put it in the comment section. But there was a game that people bought stuff, and then they were selling it for an enormous amount of money, okay? And they didn't want you to do that because they, you pre-ordered a game, they gave you this stuff, and then people would go on the market and sell it, and they didn't like that because you were making more money than they were making, right? Than the company was making. Was it Wildlands? That's it, Salty. Wildlands tried that, right? And people were sending that and charging thousands of dollars for the battle armor, for the chest piece or the helmet and stuff like that. And to me, this makes gaming... This is not what gaming's about, man. This is not what gaming's about. It's not about getting the skin and then selling that. Now, obviously, capitalism is fantastic. You can make money how you want, right? But this is just another way of a microtransaction, and now the microtransaction is not even just in the game, it's in the ecosystem of the console itself. I don't like it. I don't buy microtransactions now, okay, unless I can earn their currency inside the game. I can earn V-Bucks in the game, I use those V-Bucks, and I buy the stuff with the V-Bucks that I earn. Helldivers, I earn the super currency in the game, and I use that in their store to buy the premium or buy the stuff. I personally don't ever buy a microtransaction. Now, I have purchased, I think we bought one microtransaction. I forget what game it was in. I forget what game it was. There was a game recently within the last year, and I purchased it for the first time. I spent $2. Okay, but I forget what it was. Mash, thank you very much.
Becoming a member.
Appreciate that. Anyway, I said the game that'll break me is probably Transformers. Transformers Reactivate, if it comes out, I might buy a Transformers skin. It all depends if it's cool or not. Okay? Other than that, I don't like this NFT stuff. I don't like this fungible token thing. I don't like microtransactions because games become less of games and they become just malls. Small little malls of buying cosmetics and different things. We had a story last week where kids are getting bullied because they don't have the latest, greatest Fortnite skin, right? And that's an issue, right? Joke about it all you want, but that's literally an issue because they can't afford the next latest, greatest skin. Okay, they get picked on inside the games as they're trying to enjoy with their friends. But these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. What do you think about this fungible token, this patent from Sony? Are you going to purchase? Are you going to be a part of this? Because the more people that get involved with this, the more they're going to double down and triple down with it. But let me know in the comment section down below. Please make sure you share, like, and subscribe. And if you like what we do here, check out some of our other videos. Thanks very much. I'll see you guys in the next one. Travis, thank you very much for the 11 months. Wow, nearly a year already. Where did the time go? And that's just because kids are evil. That's right, Travis. Kids are assholes. Adults are assholes, but kids are on a different level. An 8-bit NFT sold for $16 million the other day. I hope the NFT stuff isn't starting up again. $16 million. I saw that. Let me show what's sold. Is that in the submitted stories, Krebsy? Was that in the submitted stories? Was it in general chat? Where was that? You guys will laugh when you see this. Where the hell was it? Where did you post it? Was it in submitted stories? No. Well, crypto right now is going haywire. Crypto's going haywire. No, but what I mean by that, Travis, is kids are assholes because kids don't read the room. You know what I mean? Adults can be mean, but they can also, adults understand when someone's joking or not joking. You know what I mean? When a kid hears their parents do something and then they mimic it to one of their friends, they don't understand, right? They don't understand what's real or not. What's a joke or not. All right, so this thing right here, this NFT right here, okay, sold for $16 million. How depressed do you feel in your life right now? So somebody made $16 million. Right, Ethereum, 4,500 Ethereum for that right there. This is what happens when you have stupid money and you don't know what to do with it. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna buy that. I could take that 16 million and help people around the world, or I could buy this NFT. I think I know what I'm gonna do. Amazing. Look at the comment section, shall we? Is there a comment section? No, there's no comment section. Okay. What is that? It looks like a guy with a headband on is what it looks like. I think when people look at this, I think we're more upset that someone made $16 million and people are going to work every single day for 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year. If you get vacation, 52. Or 52 if you don't get vacation, right? Like that makes me upset. I'm upset because some idiot bought it. Some people have more money than sense. I don't know what to tell you. There's gonna be a lot of millionaires, lots of millionaires in the world because of, you know, Bitcoins and Ethereum and Doge and every other meme currency out there. It's hard to judge the value of art. Yeah, I mean, if you look at that and you look at the Mona Lisa, right? Why is the Mona Lisa worth as much as it's worth, right? Still paint on a picture, right? Each their own, subjective. It's just kind of funny that that sold for 16 million, right? Now artists everywhere are going to, Microsoft Paint, and they're trying to recreate that. I'm selling a Sharpie line on paper. Bids will start at 50 mil. All the little kids that could have been fed with all that money. It's ridiculous. I know, Alien. I cave and bought the gold edition of Space Marine 2. That doesn't come out until like August, Travis, right? August or September, I think is when the game comes out. Starting to think, start doing NFT art, maybe. Hell, why even make the art? I'll just go to the art program, right? I'll just go to the art program. Here, hold on a second. Let's see. Let's see. See what it comes up with. That didn't work. Let's see. Mash with the gifted 10 gifted memberships. Thank you very much for that. Oh, I want to see if it can make an 8-bit. No, it's not doing it. Thanks for becoming a member. Apparently AI can't do an 8-bit art style. A 10? Is that a 10 bomb? Thanks for becoming a member. 10 gifted. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Mash. Altered says, that's right. AI art, NFT. What a better combination. That's right. That's right. And then I'll sell the AI art that I made for, thanks for becoming a member, invisible money on the internet. I wonder if my landlord will take Dogecoin. I wonder if he'll take Dogecoin. Thanks for becoming a member. I need your money. I don't have any money, but will you take Doge? Like, what?
becoming a member.
Right, to then transfer to my bank and then pay taxes. That's right. That's right. Ah, the world, the way it works.
Becoming a member.
All right, the next story. The next story I want to talk about is Escape from New York. Game in development, Art suggests. Now, we don't know if this is actually happening, but it's funny because we were just talking about this maybe like a month ago. Actually, longer ago. It was longer ago. It was last year when we were playing RoboCop. We were playing RoboCop, I think like October, November. And we were talking about RoboCop and how fun it was and how we'd like to see other games. We were talking about making like a Big Trouble Little China game. We're talking about Escape from New York. We were talking about the Terminator game, which we do know a Terminator game is coming out now. There's a Dune Awakening game, which we'll go into in a little bit. And there's artwork out there from Escape from New York game in development. It says recently an album made up of concept art and blueprints from Escape from New York's game surfaced online, along with claims that the game itself is in development by Splitgate Ironworks in a series of images. More than 30 in total. We get a glimpse of the authentic recreation of the world since 1981's Kurt Russell movie of the same name, revealing conceptual environment, factions, and gameplay elements. It hasn't been confirmed if these elements, images are legitimate or not, and the game is actually in development, but Splitgate Ironworks is poised and announced the title per company's website. It says Escape from New York is a cult classic title from Kurt Russell's Snake Plissken. Stake the fighting his way across the Manhattan Island, which is a maximum security prison. Okay, it says also the President of the United States, and it's also a fantastic dystopian flick that's also co-written by John Carpenter. Okay, so let's look at these images, okay? So, you can see some of these images. Can I go to the next one? No, I can't go to the next one. Hold on one second. All right, so this looks and seems, just by the artwork that we'll look through, okay, looks like a Left 4 Dead. It looks like a 4-player co-op. You might even say it's a Redfall type of game. Okay. Okay. You gotta escape. Okay, these are just some shots of the interior. Okay, again, these are just, take it with a grain of salt. Okay, we don't know if this is actually a real game or not. Okay, the art style looks pretty good. It looks like crazy fun. Got decapitation going on here. Obviously, you got an exploder. There's some cannibals over here. Got savage predators. That looks like I forget the personality, but whatever. You got Snake here in the middle. There he is. That looks good. That looks good. Right? Seems like a Vermintide type of game, maybe. Right? Lots of games you can think of. Let me see. We got some visuals here of big tanker truck inside a warehouse. Kind of reminds me of RoboCop. Some of the interiors of there are like that as well. This looks like some sort of maybe base of operation on the back of that truck. That's interesting. A dance club. Yes, some risque women in there. There's Times Square. Little peep show. There's the wall around the city. No, it's not a... Can't say it's official, Salty. These are just people that worked on the thing. They say Splitgate Ironworks is in the process of working on the game, but this is not official. This is from someone's portfolio, what they've worked on. So we're assuming that they are working on the actual game. Watch, it'll be a mobile base builder game. So it does look like, right? Now, again, the reason I say it's like a Redfall or like a Vermintide type of game is like you look down here and you have, obviously, you got your Pyro build. She's got like a fire logo down here. You got your Brute Force build, right? He's a melee guy. This guy's a quick shooter. And then you got Snake himself, which, you know, whatever he has. So it looks like it's going to be a 4-player co-op type of game. Maybe it's a single-player game that you can pick the characters that you want to use, but to me it seems more of a four-player co-op game. Try to escape from New York, right? So it's like a Left 4 Dead meets, you know what I'm talking about? You get upgrades and stuff like that. It looks interesting. I think I like the art style that they have. That's all the ones that we have. But this picture right here definitely, with these logos at the bottom, definitely makes it like, who do you want to be? Do you want to be the long range guy? You want to be the brawler? So very cool. I hope it's a game that comes out. Look, I had a blast with RoboCop. I think a lot more games back then. The 80s is filled with just a huge amount of IPs that were untouched because video games now have finally caught up to what the 80s was making for films, right? This is why we can get the RoboCop game like we wanted. This is like why we can get a Terminator game. This is why you can get an Escape in New York type of game, right? Dark Tide, Vermintide, all that type of stuff, L. Yeah, same type of game where you're moving from point A to point B, trying to escape, right? To get out, Left 4 Dead, all that type of stuff, right? So it's right now, I think the technology has finally caught up, sort of like George Lucas, right? He made Star Wars in the past, but now the technology, and he could do what he wanted to do later in life. Video games now has come to the point where people can make a Dune game. They can make a Terminator game. We can make a RoboCop game. And it looks and feels like RoboCop. Not that side-scroller platform bullshit that we got for the NES and stuff like that, right? Like, you actually got an actual game, and it looks fantastic. This looks good. This looks good. I hope this is real, and I hope it does come out on all the next platforms and whatnot. And it does look like a co-op. I mean, obviously, with this picture right here, you got 3 of the 4. I don't know where the 4th guy is, right? But you got 3 of the... Right? And it definitely looks like a Left 4 Dead, Dark Tide, whatever you want to call it, trying to escape, you know, moving from point A to point B with a team. So, be cool. Hopefully, we hear more about this and we see some more gameplay and whatnot from it. Obviously, this is just the art. But, you know, we're probably like 2 years out, maybe even longer. Yeah, we're gonna take a look at the Dune Awakening in just a second. There's a 24-minute video that goes over like the ins and outs of the game. What if they do a live service? I mean, live service games, are not bad. Bad games with live service attached to them are bad games. Right? Like, right now, people are giving shit to Suicide Squad because it's a live service game, but we don't even know what that live service is. There's literally someone complaining yesterday. I was looking through a lot of the comments on Twitter, And they're complaining, oh, are you kidding me? We have to go until the end of March before we can get an update, new weapons, new stuff. And it's like, what did you expect? Like every day something was going to come into the game? Like I'm happy that Suicide Squad didn't update the cosmetics store while the game is still broke, right? So live service games are not bad. Live service games that are bad games are bad games. Right, like the end of the month. Okay, great. And the funny part is, everyone always assumes. I said this yesterday. Anytime someone says something's coming out, if I tell you something's coming out in April, everyone assumes April 1st is the day it's coming out, and never the last day of April, right? When someone says a month, but they don't give you a date, always think the last date possible, right? Now, if the last day falls on a weekend, then you think of the last Thursday or Friday before the weekend, because that's when it's gonna come out. Hence why the DLC is coming out on the 28th. The 28th, I believe, is like a Thursday, is it not? Let me look it up real fast. Yeah, 28th is a Thursday. And the reason they'll do Thursday and not Friday is because if something goes wrong with it, they want to be able to fix it and give themselves a day before the weekend. I think it's simple. Don't give me a date unless you know the fact it's that date. And even then they change that date, don't they, Travis? Even then they change that date. Every time they say a date, I wait later. And if they say March, I believe it's coming in April or May or coming in 2024. I believe it's coming in 2025. Yeah. When they say a date and they don't give you a date and they just say it's coming out in 2024, I'm like, it's probably coming out in 2025. This is why I don't cash my checks, right? Someone can hand you a check. You can take that check and go to the bank. It doesn't go out, right? Right? Because they don't have the money in their bank account to get the money. So you're like, I got the money. You think you got paid. Not until you put it in your actual bank did you get paid. How many of you had that experience before? Right? In freelance work, you get paid. And you're like, oh, man, you run to the bank right after. You go to the bank, and they're like, you can't cash it yet. Right? Some people tell you they'll postmark it. They're like, well, here's the check, but you can't cash it till Monday. And you're like, but I need the money today. And they're like, well, you can't cash it till Monday. You got the money, but you don't got the money. So you got the date, but you don't got the date. Did you see that they're being very clear with the people? Space Marines 2 is not a live service. I didn't think they said that was a live service in the beginning. Did they ever say it was a live service? Or did people just assume that it was live service? Because all games are live service. I don't think they ever said it was a live service. No, but people assumed. Well, let's look at that word. Assuming makes an ass of you and me. I remember a time when they gave that date, and it was out, always on that date. Well, there's also a time where you also didn't know anything about that game until they made an article about it in, like, Nintendo Power. Salty. You know what I mean? Shit changes. Again, season pass. A season pass is not a bad thing. It's the way they implement it within the base of the game. Krebsy says, I'd rather be lied to on the date than the game release broke. Amen. I just want to finish game. I don't give a shit when your game comes out. I just want a game that comes out and it's not broke, buggy, unfinished, and I have to wait 18 months for it to get to where it's supposed to be good. All right. We're going to watch the Dune Awakening Direct Episode 1. Now, before I even watch this, my question is, Salty and me were talking a little bit yesterday, when's this game coming out? Right? Because if this is Direct Episode 1, how many episodes are you doing before the game releases? Now, I know it's in early access and beta, alpha, whatever. Okay. But 2025? And if it comes out in 2025, is it out, or is it early release out? Is it a PAL World out? Is it a... Do you know what I mean? Is it a Shrouded out? Is it a Fortnite out? Is it a Battlefield out? Is it a Cyberpunk out? Like, what out is it? Is it alpha, beta, delta, zeta? Like, what is it? Is it gold? Is it, like, out 2 years before it's supposed to be out? Like, use whatever language you want. Just want to know when the game comes out, is it going to be done? That's all I want to know. Okay. All right, here we go. Bro, those graphics looks amazing. See that? Look at that rope. The sand particles. I have a question. Question right off the bat. Right off the bat. Hold on a second. Right here. All right, not that one. This right here. Okay, we're flying. Okay, we're flying. There's got to be a mechanic that drains your... I hate when they show stuff like this because there's no HUD. How far can I fly? Am I always flying? And if I'm always flying, then I'm not touching the sand. If I'm not touching the sand, then this worm never comes up. Like, what? Is this end game? Like, and then once I get to that point, right? Do you know what I mean? No, I get that, Water. I understand what Dune is, and I'm thinking as a gamer, right? The point is, can you do this right away? Can you do this early on? Can you do this later in the game? Is like, what is it? Because if I could do this to get to higher places and there's no meter, then I could just go like this to the next location where I don't touch the sand, and then I can already go to... Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not giving shit. Just want to know what this is mechanically.
Hello and welcome to the very first Dune Awakening.
Is that the girl? No. Is that the girl? Did she used to work for Mojang? Or no?
Direct, a brand new series where we'll be taking a look at all things Dune Awakening from our studio here on Arrakis. On this episode, we'll be chatting to Joel Bylos. He's the Chief Creative Officer.
They're using the vroom
For Dune Awakening
volume
here at Funcom, and he will tell us what players can look forward to this year, and he will share some news about our beta testing phase. Then we'll also be taking a look at the brand new gameplay trailer that we're just so excited to share with you all. But first, we'll look at what it takes to bring the most dangerous planet in the universe to life. From book...
Altern says, you're asking way too many questions, 30. This game will probably be out in 2026 and will not look like this at launch. I'm gonna say this game comes out later this year, and the official release will be in 2026. But the early access preview that you'll be playing it, paying $30, $40 for this game, I think it'll come out later this year.
To film, to video game. Let's get started with creating worlds.
And when I say later this year, I mean alpha, beta. It's already out, but they'll open up to more people.
Arrakis is this unrelenting anvil against which people are beaten and shaped and forged into something that's stronger.
Jason says, why do they waste their money on this nonsense? They waste their money on this nonsense because this is how marketing works, right? Right now, Dune. Do you think it's weird that the movie's out in the theaters and now they're showing you this? No, this is meant to be this way, right? When you watch a movie that you're interested in, you want to go play the game or read the book or read the comic or get the toy, right? That's exactly what they're doing here.
There's something very spiritual about that sand, which on the surface is really nothing, but underneath has a really diverse biological backstory.
One of my favorite
Game footage is video captured using the Unreal 5.2 in-game and in-engine.
lines from Frank Herbert is, when you end a novel, it's like a train
I will play. If I signed up, if I get a beta, I will try it for sure.
coming into the station that doesn't stop. You just jam on the brakes and let the sparks fly into people's imagination. Arrakis is a test, is what the Fremen say. And the player comes right into the heart of that test.
Real fast. This is a really... How do I do it? How do I say this? This is a really hard sell as far as... If you're a Dune fan, this is straight up. You see this and you're like, I'm in. Okay? If you're not a Dune fan and you're just a survival fan, right? You look at other games. They made Conan, right? Look at other open world games. The reason, like, No Man's Sky works is because you can get in a ship and you can travel to different planets and there's different landscapes. This is the same, right? You're in a desert. And how often can you change this desert to look? Now, I don't know if they have something that changes the sands as it goes, the wind or something, but I can see this being a hard sell for people to be like, just running on sand again.
Dune Awakening is a survival
Oh yeah, the
game,
movie is doing very well.
It begins like a traditional survival game, you know, like you're looking for water, you're looking for shelter. You know, where will you find water in the desert? Will you take it from others? So when we talk about survival, sure, we start with the basic kind of survival. So
I'm interested in the survival part. I'm interested in the scavenging, exploring part. That's what gets me with games like this.
survive. And then when you've survived long enough, it's now time to think about political survival and how you progress within the universe. The approach we take when building a world like Arrakis is we kind of have to think about where are the stark lines and how do we draw these epic spaces? How do we make them feel huge and the player feels dwarfed by everything they see around them?
The intention was every time we saw the desert, it was highly brutal, and if you went out into the desert without the right protection and without the right knowledge, that it was sure death. If we looked at references from some of the hottest deserts in the world, the visuals that we saw from those deserts weren't
You think it's convenient they got the guy who's directing the movies there?
enough. We needed this world to be even harsher.
So we've been working with Legendary since the very beginning. They've been very generous with sharing with us assets.
Altern says, I have played enough survival games to know that the worst biome is the desert. So I don't know how they're going to make this desert fun. That's what I'm trying to say, Altern. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, you can have a vast open area. Doesn't matter if you pick, right? Like, a forest has trees and it looks different. But a desert's just... You could have the mountain ridges and stuff like that, but how are you going to make it feel appealing to run over on that part of the desert and this part of the desert and have these key points?
It's from the film and allowing us to see things from the film and allowing us to really understand the vision that Denis Villeneuve has for the world and his characters and the way he's grounding Arrakis. But of course, a game is a much larger scale, so we need to expand upon that vision. We have our own army of concept artists who are sending things back and forth with Legendary all the time. One of my best...
Right. The difference between the movie and the game is the movie is a small section of that world. Like, they're showing you the desert, but you're living in this, like, little section of the desert, right, that they show you. In a game, it's free roam. I can go wherever I want. So how do you make that interesting? How do you make that engaging?
Moments on this project so far actually was I got to go and visit the set of the first film with a group of the people from Funcom, the art directors, the lead artists, and we got to walk around in...
I miss filmmaking, dude. I love filmmaking. I miss filmmaking.
The actual sets that they had built in classic old school set building, massive palaces, And we got to look at the ornithopters from the inside and the outside, right? We got to walk around them and get a sense of their scale.
Well, I think what they had done really well is they'd been quite inspired by the world that we had built in Dune Part 1. Now, in a film, you're sort of led on a journey by the director and by the script, whereas in a game, you have the opportunity.
That visually looks great. That's the thing with Unreal Engine 5, man. Everything looks just fantastic. Just hope there's depth to it, you know what I mean? Game-wise, gameplay-wise.
To sort of create your own narrative and create your own journey. The most exciting aspect for me is the fact that you can take what you've enjoyed and loved and you can build your own stories and your own places. And that to me is the ultimate goal, is to have, you know, complete control.
Using Unreal 5 to create a game is obviously one of the better choices. Unreal 5 gives us flexibility through the blueprinting system. It allows us to handle amazing graphics through the rendering system, the lighting system, such as Lumen. Lumen technology allows proper light bouncing. If I had to say one thing in the game that really benefits from Lumen, it's player-crafted spaces. In our case, it's like you build a room and you place a window, and the window lets in natural.
That's insane. Like, do we understand where we came from with video games to what we're doing now? Like, I know you just put a window there and the light shines in, but we all take that for granted for what they're doing with video games.
Light, and the light will fill the room in a way that feels real. And that technology hasn't existed before. Before Unreal 5, in the olden days, you had to use what we called the LOD system. And that meant that you had to create assets at different LOD levels, so it doesn't slow down everybody's computer. With Unreal 5, we have this new technology called nanite that breaks things down into the right amount of
Yeah, the nanite stuff is pretty cool.
Polygons at the right distance. So for us, as a company, this has made an amazing difference to the visual detail of the world. It allows us to create one really amazing looking cliff piece, for example, and then doesn't...
Right. So if those of you that don't know, we watched the video months and months and months ago, last year, probably a year from this point, and they talked about this nanite system where it doesn't matter if you put 1,000 trees or a mountain and you're up close or if you're super far away. It does it in real time where it takes the stress off and it always looks visually stunning no matter where you are and what you do, right? So one guy showed a picture of a forest and he was like up close and it was like super detailed tree. And then as he backed out, the older versions, you would see trees like pop out or they would go fake looking. These look real, but they also, it doesn't render them at full resolution to slow your computer down. Because if you have 1,000 trees on your screen, it's going to slow down your computer. Your frames per second go to shit. But the way the Unreal Engine 5.2 works, it changes all of that.
Doesn't matter how far away or how close we place it, it performs well and it looks great.
Where Unreal worked for us on Dune was that it was a fantastic pre-production and planning tool. On Dune Part 2, we had some very complicated scenes, and we were able to previs all the way from Budapest what the light was going to be doing well in
Those are just big bounce boards, by the way.
advance. It's the only tool that I've used, I would say, in my 25 years of shooting that is able to be used across a wide spectrum of films by different types of filmmakers.
The most iconic creature in the Dune universe is the sandworm of Arrakis. And so we've tried to represent this in the game in multiple ways. So as a player, your first steps on the open sand, you hear the hiss of the sand in the distance as the sandworm begins to move towards you. And when it gets close, you hear the roar as it erupts from the sand nearby. And at that point, you have only seconds to live if you cannot make it to rocky ground. So this is your first experience with sandworms.
So what happens then? Is this a one and done, like hardcore survival? Or is this just survival, you lose your shit, and then you got to get it back?
And these are the little ones. When you go into the deep desert, when you're harvesting spice, the giant ring-mouth sandworms that we've seen in the film will erupt underneath the spice blows and suck harvesters and equipment down into the sand beneath them.
Dude, just thinking about this, right? Imagine playing this game, right? Let's say you're playing like Ark, right? Ark Survival, okay? Your group of 4 friends spend 10, 20, 30 hours getting the resources to create this device that now does the spice run for you in the desert, and then you fucking lose it. And you're like, like, what happens? Like, from a gamer standpoint, what happens? All that time is just gone.
There's really only one rule. The sandworm will always come. Humans have always had this innate drive to create something, to build worlds, whether it's in their head.
Titan says the worm will poop it out eventually. All right, you just have to wait. It's like if your dog ate your wedding ring or something. You just gotta, come on, boy, come on.
Whether it's in text, whether it's on screens, whether it's in games. Funcom as a company has been on this journey for a long time, creating multiplayer worlds where players can live out their dreams and fantasies. We were there in the beginning with massively multiplayer online games. We've been there in the beginning with survival open world.
I don't think you're going to be able to ride the worm. I don't think you're going to be able to ride the worm. I'll put it this way. You won't be able to ride that worm. Okay? Maybe you'll learn how to ride baby worms.
Crafting games, and Dune is a combination of those legacies, bringing us forward into the future. It's the culmination of what Funcom means as a company and what we can deliver. And this legacy means that we need to really pay attention to what we're creating and how we create it for the fans, because I think at the heart of this, there's a lot of people out there who really want to live in the universe that Frank Herbert created, and they really want to live in the visual world of the films that they see from Villeneuve. And so we need to create the gap between those two possibility spaces and create a game world where people can live out their fantasies that they've taken from Dune. And yes, it's a huge legacy, and it feels at times extremely overwhelming, but we really hope that we can deliver something for everybody.
Yeah, it's an MMO. Well, it's like Conan. It's just like that.
Wow, that was great.
And these are the same people that made Conan.
Creating captivating visions on the big screen and the immersive world of games, of course, both certainly come with their own unique set of challenges. And I think it's very clear that both mediums draw deeply from the seminal book that started it all. Now, of course, Villeneuve's movies have mesmerized the audiences with their adaptation of Frank Herbert's masterpiece. It's been showcasing the intricate politics, the very stunning visuals, and the harsh desert of Arrakis. And now, as we venture into the game, the challenges of bringing this rich universe to life really takes on new forms. So, here to share this exciting process with us is Joel Biles, the Chief Creative Officer for Dune Awakening. Joel, welcome to the first ever show.
Thank you very much for having me. It's exciting to be here.
I am so excited that you're here because I get to pick your brain.
That archway is not even real there.
I have so many questions and I want to dive straight into this. Dune Awakening is a survival MMO. Two words everyone watching will be familiar with, but what's your take on that? What is a survival MMO?
Sure. So survival games are obviously a genre of games about like building yourself up from the bottom and surviving. MMOs are more about social interaction and you know how players work together to achieve big goals. And we thought, why not combine the two? You know, why don't we create a game? Because most of the survival games that are out there, they kind of you once you get to a certain point of survival, it kind of ends, and that's kind of where you've gotten to. But what we thought was like the universe of Dune is a perfect place with these politics and this intrigue and there's machinations that happen. So let's get players hooked on the survival and then bring them into the political survival of the Dune universe.
Let's break it down then and dive a little deeper, starting with the survival part. What are we surviving?
Ground is fake. Let me check. Yeah, no, the ground that they're on right now is fake.
On Arrakis. What's out there? I mean,
they're just on a stage that projects the ground and everything. Yeah. It's all visual on camera.
What else?
That rug and that floor is not there.
Players. Yeah, so the player, I mean, obviously, Arrakis is all about the heat and the water. So the player, first of all, needs to be searching for water. They need to stay out of the sun, stay in black shade during the daytime, travel by night.
I love it.
That's what the Fremen say, right? That's what the Kitan al-Gaib says it in the book, right? Black shade by day, travel by night. So the player needs to worry about these things, think about the sunlight, think about where they are, but they also need water because that runs out really quickly without a still suit and you die very fast. So yeah, there's lots of ways in which to get water. You can explore dew fields and eat eat plant fiber to try and get water out of it. After a while, you start to throw up because you can't really get too much water out of plants that way. And then the more, the way I prefer to do it is to shoot enemies, take their blood, drink that.
It's dark, dude.
You just casually dropped that right there. Okay, so
Will it be on the Switch? Probably not.
We're harvesting blood or just lick some plants, whichever way you choose. You're going to stay hydrated, which is very important.
Yes.
Yeah, stay hydrated at home, in and out of game. Are there other resources I need to worry about?
Yeah, so as a player, it's a proper survival open world crafting game, right? So players will craft their entire arsenal, right? So they'll be collecting resources, they'll be collecting stone, they'll be collecting metals like copper, iron, eventually forging steel, building up the equipment that they have at home. So they'll be crafting, all their weapons, all of their gear, all of their clothing, and they can, of course,
yeah, there's going to be PvP.
Craft themselves a base to live in, craft machines to help them craft bigger machines, which allow them to craft better weapons and so forth.
See, I like that. I like that whole thing. Make this to make this, that makes that. I like that whole system. I like all survival games, right? All survival games interest me. IPs that I'm interested in make it even better.
Cool.
All right, so there's a lot to do, is what I'm hearing. Base building you just mentioned, that's obviously very exciting. I saw you guys shared a sneak peek of what a base could look like already on your TikTok channel. Very cozy. Why would I ever leave a home like that and head out into the desert? But I'm sure you guys give us plenty of reasons to do just that. Is there anything special about the base building in this game?
Yeah, so we took what we started with in Conan Exiles, our other survival game. We brought that over. Then we started to add to it, right? So we've now created a system for co-op building where you can place out holograms and other players can fill them in. So you work.
I love that system. I hate the system where you're building and you're like, only I can build. I love that you could plant the hologram. Other games do this as well, where you could put the hologram and then other people can come over with the resource and then place it there and fill in that.
Work with your friends to build bases. You can also save your base as like an architectural blueprint that you can then sell to other players on the exchange, or you can give to your friends. So they, if you make something really cool. One of the things we saw in Conan Exiles that I really liked was that players were.
See, what I like about this, I would like to be a character that's not part of any faction. I would like to be like a resource gatherer and then sell my resources to the factions. Do you know what I mean?
Building the Taj Mahal. They were just building really cool buildings, and it's like, what if you could sell that to another player? That'd be cool, right? So another player might want to be able to just buy that blueprint off you and then place that out in the world and build it themselves. So we're really enabling this sharing. And so
I'm going to rewind that for a second. So you can get blueprints. Now that'll be interesting, right? The way my brain works when I hear stuff like this is like, how are you getting these blueprints? Is it blueprints unlock based on level, or does it unlock by exploring and finding blueprints? Do you earn blueprints by, like, if I'm chopping a tree down and my skill of chopping, again, no trees in here, but digging sand. If I dig sand and I level up that thing, do I unlock different resources that someone else would have to put the time in? Do you know what I mean? What is the necessity of this? And can everyone do it? Because if everyone can do it, then there's no point to do it and sell it.
What if you could sell that to another player? That'd be cool, right? So another player might want to be able to just buy that blueprint off you and then place that out in the world and build it themselves. So we're really enabling this sharing and sort of the way the building system works, allowing it to be very cooperative.
That's incredible. I absolutely love that. Well, I know my story arc is going to be architect who harvests blood occasionally, but you do what you got to do. Now that I have my basic needs all met, I'm staying hydrated.
I hope when you build in this game, it levels the fucking ground out. Okay, I hate games that don't level the ground out when you build stuff.
In some unkosher ways, and I'm having my base. How do I protect myself and my base from the world? Like, what am I doing for combat here?
So the game has a full leveling system, right? And we do this thing we call combined arms, which is like, we have melee, we have ranged, and we have abilities, and we also have vehicles, right? So players can use any combination of these in combat, right? So it's kind of creates this interesting dynamic. So you can learn abilities from the great schools of the universe, and
Okay, that's interesting.
Learn how to be a Bene Gesserit, compelling your enemies to come close to you so that you can stab them with a knife. And you combine so you're combining melee with abilities there, right? Or you can be a sword master and leap in with a knee charge, knocking people to the ground and then stabbing them. Or you can choose to be like a trooper and you use your Shigawai reel to pull you up like a grappling hook, to pull you to high places where you can shoot down on your enemies with sniper rifles and shotguns. So there's a large variety of weapons that you can craft through our intricate crafting system.
Paul's like, so this is a sandbox game. 1 point for Paul. You know what? I'm giving 5 points to Paul.
In addition to these abilities that you learn as you level up your character, so you kind of have this freedom of choice, and that's really what Combined Arms is all about. It's sandbox combat. That's what we're trying to call it and what we're going for, right?
Are those hard locked in classes, or is there like...
Yeah, Matasbo, I just saw what you said. Yeah, like being like a possible gun runner. That'd be cool. What I loved about Star Wars Galaxies back in the day, that you could craft weapons and then you could make really cool weapons based on your skill level, and other people would come to you and buy your weapons, and it would say weapon created by who. You know what I mean? That to me is really cool. Hopefully they have systems like that in this game as well.
Like, can I explore different skill trees? Like,
yes.
Can I be a swordsman or a swordsmaster and also use the voice? Is that possible?
It's absolutely possible. You just have to find the right trainer in the world who'll teach you these things. So you choose
the right trainer in the world. Here's what I don't like. Back in the day, it was really hard to like find things out. But because the internet is so vast and fast, okay, someone finding... This is almost like finding how to become a Jedi in Star Wars Galaxies, right? Star Wars Galaxies, to learn something, you had to randomly come across a Jedi. Obi-Wan would visit you, and then you would get down this path to become a Jedi. He's saying that you could learn this stuff, but you would have to find the right person in the world to do it. In today's age, someone will play the game and be like, this is exactly where you have to go to get this ability, and it kind of takes away what it is.
Choosing character creation, you make a choice of who was your mentor when you were young, and then you choose one of the things, and that determines your set of starting abilities. But then when you play the game, you find trainers in the world. You have to do things for them, but then they'll eventually teach you some of the way, the path that can take you.
That's the same type of thing they did in Star Wars Galaxies back in the day. You got a doctor, you want to become a better doctor, you had to go do some things, and you had to get taught by a doctor. And then if you were a higher level, you would have to teach someone lower than you so you could go up.
Down some of these skills and abilities, yeah.
I love that. Okay, so lots of things to explore there as a player and avenues to take, all in order to protect myself and maybe my friends if I feel like it. What am I protecting? Like, how do I protect myself against sandworms? Like, can I fight them? Can I ride them? Like, what's the deal with them?
Sandworms are like a tension mechanic in the game. We want you to be really worried every time you walk on the sand. So you really need to think about what you're doing. So there is no way to kill or defeat sandworms.
No,
the only thing
I
you can
cannot.
do, you just cannot. The only thing you can do is avoid the sandworms, right? So you craft yourself a thumper and place it out to distract a sandworm. Maybe you use it to lure a sandworm onto some friends of yours or some
friends,
depending on how
as
you feel.
one does.
And the other thing you can do, of course, is craft yourself a vehicle. Like we have a range of vehicles in the game, including the iconic ornithopters, and players will be able to craft these, and you'll be able to use these to, of course, traverse safely, right? If you're in an ornithopter, you fly above. If you're on a sand bike or something like that, you can move quickly across the sand. Hopefully a sandworm won't get you if you time it right.
Hopefully.
Hopefully,
It's always hoping. I love a constant looming threat. Sounds really stressful.
So you didn't say about riding them, but you definitely can't kill them.
Perfect, actually, for a survival MMO.
So think of the sandworm as a tornado. It's just a thing that happens.
Now you already alluded to
randomly
some
as you're touching the
cooperative
sand.
things one can do in game. Can you elaborate a little bit more here or dive deeper into this? Like,
sure.
Can I fully go on a journey with someone and then do tasks with each other? Like, what can I do with other people?
Yeah, so I mean, hook up with your friends, join together with a grouping system. We have a ping system, so you can, obviously point out things to players. You will find different roles that you can assume based on the kind of combination of abilities you want to bring with you. And then you can heal your friends, of course, get them up when they get knocked down in combat, things like that. And then, of course, you go on journeys like we have a system called the Journey System. You can go on those journeys together and sort of explore the mystique of the universe. Through that, we also have a contract system When you go to trade posts, you'll be able to take contracts. Your friend and you can go out and explore and do these contracts together. We have small group play, we have guild play. It's all kind of what
It sounds good.
you'd expect to see in a social experience.
What's your take on the politics? Because obviously the
Titan says riding sandworms would be a good way to fast travel. Oh, that would be cool. Like you're riding them, but you don't get to ride them. You know what I mean? Like it's just like getting on the trolley, right? Or a bus in like Grand Theft Auto or something.
books and the movies, that's a big
Or a mountain World of Warcraft. You just get on it, just flies you across.
part of it, like the whole political intrigue. How predominant is that in the game?
I mean, we want players to be able to dip into it. So you start the game kind of lost in the desert, right? And then by the end of the game, maybe you're the next Baron Harkonnen. So as you play through the game,
And who doesn't want to be?
See, that sounds fantastic, what he just said. But at the same time, how does that work in a realm where everyone can do it? And if everyone can do it, does that make it special?
Him.
He's a good-looking man.
Oh yeah. Mm.
As you make your way through the game, you progress and you sort of meet these factions in the world, right? The Atreides and the Harkonnen are at war. There's a war of assassins going on, as it's called. And as a player, you decide which side you want to help, which side you want to join. Then you start to partake in missions for those factions. And eventually, yeah, you work your way up through the ranks of the factions and maybe you take on a position of power as well. So the politics are, they're designed to actually encourage players to develop their own politics around the sandbox systems, right? So we have this.
I wonder if they'll let communities build their own little towns and systems. Again, I'm going to go back to Star Wars Galaxies because they're ahead of their time. You could build little towns and make those bigger areas, bigger cities. You have your own government within those cities. I wonder if they could do something like that in this game as well.
This Landsrad, the Landsrad will demand that players do certain things. The factions need to work together against each other to achieve these goals, right? So there's also this sandbox element to the politics.
Which also then encourages like co-op play or PvP play more.
Co-op play or PvP play, yeah. Yeah, there's this this kind of idea that, yeah, like when people have the same objective, but they're on opposite sides, it becomes a race between them to achieve that objective, and they'll do all sorts of dirty things to get to the top right.
Sounds about right.
As a gamer, it's like playing D&D. Like, your head goes crazy of all the possibilities that you could do, but then actually doing it is another aspect of the game. Like, can I do it? Like, if I want to... I remember playing Ultima Online back in the day, and that type of stuff where you thought like, oh, I could become the guard for the king or something, or I could work my rank way up in Star Wars Galaxies and become an Imperial and work under Darth Vader, or maybe I could become, right, like that type of stuff. Your head canon gives you all this possibilities, but when you actually do it, you're like, yeah, no, it actually doesn't do it that way.
Can I opt out of politics? Can I just live my peaceful little Swiss life in my cottage?
Absolutely. You can play however you want. I mean, the idea is to be a sandbox and allow people to approach it how they like. We have one of the rules, one of the pillars of the game is expression and customization. And that's not just about visuals, it's customizing how you want to play the game. So it's really thinking about like, well, I really like to craft and just set up my little crafting setup and sell things on the exchange to other players. So you can do that. You can basically live your life as a crafter. You can also be an architect, as we talked about.
This is cool, right? Just have my own little section of the world I'm living inside of Dune, right?
You can be a pilot, a scout. You're not really heavily involved in the fighting, but you go out and you craft maps that you sell to other players as well of the world.
Where are we currently?
Now, see, that sounds boring to a lot of you. I know it does. But if I can explore and map out stuff, okay, and then sell that map to somebody, that's cool, okay? Because if a person doesn't like to explore, you like to explore and you can actually navigate the world, and then you make a map of the places you've been. Sort of think about like Minecraft. Minecraft, you pull a piece of paper in your hand, and as you walk around the world, it exposes that part that you walked in. Well, now you can go sell that map to somebody, and that to me is interesting.
Currently at, like, I know there have been betas already. How many more of those are coming? When is the next one? What's the status of development? Where are we at?
So yeah, we've been running betas now for several months. They've been going really well. We're slowly inviting more people over time. So the game, yeah, I mean, we're not going to rush it out the door. We're going to work with our community and our players, and we're going to try and make the game as good as it possibly can be.
Takes as long as it takes, man.
It takes as long as it takes, and you got to do it well. So yeah, so we're working with our community, and yeah, betas are continuing, right, all the way through launch, and we're going to keep increasing the number of people in those betas, helping us stress test.
Brain says, could be great depending on how they implement all that and progression of immersion. Right.
Yelling at us because they get eaten by sandworms, all those kind of good things.
All the good stuff. Speaking of good stuff, have there been any recent milestones you're particularly excited about, or anything you want to share about the current development?
Sure. There's a thing as a creative director I like to say, that we get a few aces every time we make a project. We get to make a few creative bets. There's a thing called the shifting sands, which is one of my most exciting. One of the things that makes me most excited about the game, and that is this location in the world. It's a full PvP area. And every week, the Coriolis storm sweeps in and completely alters the landscape of this area. And I got to see that working for the first time very recently, with full landscape changing and people able to play. And it's exciting to see these things coming online. And I think it's something people haven't seen before in a game. So I'm excited to let the audience in on it, you know?
I can't wait to be part of that.
Okay, I want to rewind that for a second because I got distracted because my dog's barking. Give me 1 second. All right.
This location in the world, it's a full PvP area, and
I want to hear that PvP stuff again.
Aces. Every time we make a project, we get to make a few creative bets. There's a thing called the shifting sands, which is one of my most exciting. One of the things that makes me most excited about the game, and that is this location in the world. It's a full PvP area, and every week the Coriolis storm sweeps in and completely alters the landscape of this area. And I got to see that working for the first time very recently.
That seems cool. So the landscape changes each week.
With full landscape changing and people able to play, and it's exciting to see these things coming online. And I think it's something people haven't seen before in a game. So I'm excited to let the audience in on it, you know?
I can't wait to be part of that audience, and I also can't wait to have more opportunities in the future to chat about the development and the process that you and the team are going through. Now, any last words, anything you want to say to your future player base?
Yes, thank you everybody for joining us on this journey. I hope today's show was like your first taste of spice, mildly euphoric, slightly addictive, and leaving you wanting more.
I certainly want more of that now. I'm pretty sure everyone watching as well, so remember, for a chance to get an invitation to any of the future closed beta tests, head on over to duneawakening.com and sign up for the beta. Then head on over to Steam and wishlist the game. You can also join our Discord and follow our other socials at Dune Awakening. Also, of course, you can keep up to date.
It almost even looks like a Star Wars galaxy the way they're doing stuff.
On TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, where we will be showcasing
obviously much better looking
regular sneak peeks into the world of Dune Awakening. Now, here is the moment that I'm pretty sure everyone has been waiting for. Let's take a look at our brand new gameplay trailer for Dune Awakening.
Arrakis is a test. Few
That's me. 5 seconds into the game, I die.
survive it.
All right, real quick. When he looks out, is that the boundaries? Or does that just happen to be like the scene that he's looking at? You know what I mean? That looks like an arena kind of a thing. That looks cool. That looks cool. The building, let me go back a little bit. Now, as soon as I see that, I feel like that's a scavenging thing. Like anyone that's on the map, sort of like the drop that happens in like Fortnite or any other type of game. Everyone rushes towards it and has a little battle going on to see who can get the stuff. This looks very ambitious. Like, see, I'm okay. Like this part right here. This part right here, like I would love to be just a scavenger. I go around finding shit and then selling it to other people that want to buy it. Ooh, look at that shit. Okay. That must be the PvP area. These are endgame guys coming down. This is the noob.
Few survive it, but the humans that do awaken.
I mean, looks very ambitious. I want to check a look at this again. Look at the base building, man. Go up pretty high. Got landing pads. Yeah, I think this would be really cool. Like, for instance, right? I start a small little house. All of a sudden, Altern comes in, and then L joins me, and then we start building a bigger thing, and then we all have smaller houses and one big palace, and then all of a sudden, now we're governed, right? We have like 10 people in our clan, and now we have our own little faction going on, and then there's like political stuff, and then maybe the part of the, and again, I'm just spitballing here, maybe we don't have any resources near us, right? And the other resources are on the other side where someone else's faction's already there. And we could trade with them because we have resources on our side, and then they have resources that we need on their side, and then it makes able to trade. You know what I mean? Like, to make us interact with each other, to make politics, to make wars and battles and stuff that goes on. That's what I'm interested in. That would be really interesting to go on. It would also be interesting if within your factions themselves, okay, within your factions yourselves, like someone has to be the scavengers, someone has to be the map guy, someone has to be certain things, because otherwise, it's like in Minecraft, when you play Minecraft and you play Minecraft on the Minecraft server where everyone can build everything, everyone can master everything, then everyone just does everything and you don't need each other. It becomes a group play, but no one plays with each other because everyone can do everything by themselves because everyone's time is different and whatnot. But if you can all play together within the group and the dynamic of your faction needs someone to be on the lower rung and someone's on the higher rung because maybe the person that has more time is like the leader of the group, but then the person in the mid-tier type of stuff just wants to be, help out for the battles and don't really care about building stuff. That's what type of stuff I'm interested in, just as the group mechanic. This looks intense right here, right? I'm getting like Battlefield Bad Company vibes over here with this thing's going on. Now I wonder if battling is, I know they said they have a PvP section, but I wonder if there's PvP around the whole map, right? Or is it just in those sections?
Arrakis is a test. Few survive it, but the humans that do awaken.
I would think it would be, it all depends, right? Altern? if they have a specific section of the map, I think it would have to be accurate to what's in the movie. Like if they have a city, then that city would be there. But anything outside those realms would be, procedurally generated. I don't know. I would assume anything that's not shown in the movie and they're taking liberty of making that area, that would be procedurally generated. And anything that's in the movies and then the books, like the cities or any kind of major areas, would be fixed. You put the music back on. Looks pretty good, man. Looks pretty good. Again, get hyped because you see it. It's out for Steam, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S. Eclipse says, I think the PvP area will be randomly generated, but apparently they have to talk to the people that own the IP, so I doubt they're going to be able to have a fixed map for the planet. I think, like I said, I think they can make the procedure generated for outside the major cities or major areas. Right, I'll turn. It'd be interesting to see. I mean, obviously, you can't stop it, right? Videos on YouTube are always going to pop up, and this is how you do it for the fastest. Like, gamers are like water, right? Gamers are like water. They're going to find the nooks and crannies. What's the most efficient way to do something? Like, let's take just the map guy, right? As he said, that you could go around and make maps and sell to people. Let's say that person, nobody does that job, right? Nobody does that job. Then nobody would know where, like, you just explore, right? You explore, but you don't have a map. You just explore, okay? So everything would be like a fog of shadow or fog of war type of thing, right? Where you go is where you can see around, but you wouldn't see around behind you anymore, okay? So if they did something where you make a map, now, you can make the map yourself, but you have to take a skill point to put into that map. Okay, is it worth it? Or does someone that is the map photographer, right? And where they make the map, and then you can buy that map. That way you don't go up that skill tree to unlock that point. You know what I mean? Like something along the lines of that would be interesting, where someone that wants to be a map salesman, okay? And then if you get rid of that ability, then you're no longer a map smith or whatever. There has to be a reason to have the things in the thing. Like if you want to be a weapon salesman or a weapon smith, you would have to go up a skill tree to do that. Not everyone can go up that skill tree. And then if you get rid of that skill tree, then you can no longer make weapons. Do you know what I mean? It's not like go up that skill tree. And again, I'm just brainstorming here. I don't know what they're doing for the game. I'm just giving you the reason of why it would be interesting to do something. Right? If I want to be a weaponsmith, I go up that skill tree of the weaponsmith. And if I decide that I don't want to be a weaponsmith anymore, then I would lose that skill tree completely. Meaning I can't make weapons. Once you learn it, it's not always learned. It's learned because you learned it and you have points in that section. So then you have to have people in your guild, in your group, that one person's a weaponsmith. And when he gets online, he's constantly learning to make better weapons. There already is betas. There's already betas for the last couple of months. I signed up like a month ago to try to get in. Haven't been invited yet, so. That's one of the things I liked about Galaxies back in the day, with the weapons and like becoming a bounty hunter and then dedicating yourself to become a bounty hunter, or taking the path of the Jedi, or taking the path of a doctor, right? Or taking a path of, and being those things. Because yes, not everyone wants to be the hero out in the world. They want to be that, the cantina bar guy, or they want to make drinks, or they want to be the doctor, or they want to be the merchant on the streets. Looks interesting, though. And I wonder if it's a big if it's 60 players, 64 player, if it's 124 players on a server, it'll be interesting. But then you're going back and forth with the same people all the time. It's always a hard balance. Look at New World, right? With the factions. It's a real hard balance because some people move towards one faction or the other, and it's lopsided. And then they overrun, and they just dominate people. You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting if they have a balance where if we have a faction, you have a faction, there's still the NPC faction. And the NPC faction would be like the balance, the police of that world. Do you know what I mean? So we're not always just fighting each other. We're fighting them and this, and it kind of off-balances what's going on in the world. I don't know what they're doing. It'd be interesting. I would like to know more about it. It's definitely, obviously there's a part 3 of Dune, okay? I don't think the official release will be this year, but I do think they'll open it up for more people this year. I don't think the next part 3 comes out till 2025, 2026. And I would assume this would coincide with that, right? If it comes out before part 3, or if it comes out during part 3. But this is definitely looking for the hype of Dune Part 3 / Dune Part 3 is going to use this to go back and forth. Just like when you watch Mando, you want to go play Star Wars. Just like when you played Witcher, you want to go watch the Witcher show, right? Those types of things, this is exactly what this is. This is the perfect timing for this game to come out and start hyping it, because Part 3 is going to come out. It's going to coincide back and forth. I guarantee you after the movie, there'll be some sort of mini-series or something that's going to come out. It'll be very interesting. I'm excited for it. Look, I like survival games. Water says this game will be trash. I'm gonna go play it. I am a little interested though, intrigued about how you're gonna make the desert interesting. Right? It's a desert. If it's like Altern said, if it's just a fixed area. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I like the IP of Dune. I'm interested in this because of the IP of Dune. If this was just Sandland, I'd be like, oh, it looks pretty cool. But because it's in the Dune universe, I'm like, oh, this looks interesting. Be very interesting to see more of it. Yeah, if this is just a generic game, I'm like, eh. But because it's Dune, I'm like, all right, I'm listening. The desert will be full of traps. That's how they'll make it interesting. I think a lot of us are gonna be like, well, you can't ride the worm. That's stupid. Ark, I could train a T-Rex. Obviously, when it comes out and where it finishes, look at Conan. Look at Conan. It's a completely different game than when it launched and when it came and where it's at now. The desert will be hot and full of worms, like the movie. You know what it'll be? IGN reviews it. Too much sand. 7 out of 10. Worm. Too wormy. 7 out of 10. Be interesting to see what the skill tree is. See, I want to know more. I want to know what the skill trees are. How big are they? Are they like all being online skill trees, or are they more like Suicide Squad kill tree or skill tree? I look, this did a good job on me. I want to know more about it. Obviously, we're not going to know. Hopefully, if they're doing episode 1, maybe they do this monthly. Maybe they do it quarterly. I don't know. Disease says IGN's review. This is not the Tremor game I was looking for. Yeah, it wasn't Tremors. This is not this. Can you imagine the reviewer? Z's like, what happened to Kevin Bacon? How come he's not in this? And be like, the fuck are you talking about? Do you think this is Tremors? Could you imagine? This is not the Tremors game we were looking for. I'll be honest, right now, because I watched this, I kind of want to go play Spice Wars. They're making a new Tremors, are they? Man, they're really going back to the goodies, huh? So is Anakin returning home or not? Series, not movie. Okay. Right, I'll turn. This is not Star Wars Galaxy. There was an article, not an article. One of the guys said from the game. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Let's see. 20 hours ago. Says a lot of us are old school MMO players. Dune Awakening's creative director on how Star Wars Galaxies was a huge inspiration for the new survival game. I mean, I'm sold. I'm sold. When I say this, Star Wars Galaxies was ahead of its time. There's still games, okay, that haven't tried to do what Star Wars Galaxies did. It was way ahead of its time, and no one's tried it. There's other games coming out that haven't been out yet. Ash of Creation. There's another one that's trying to do what Galaxies did. Let's read this. Part survival game, part MMO. Dune Awakening is tapping into the bygone days of MMOs to let players carve their own paths. This is exactly why. Okay. Do you think we get a third Dune movie? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think part 3 comes out in 2026, doesn't it? I'm not sure I've ever heard of bolder consent for the game, or more doomed one than Star Wars Galaxy's original pitch that almost no one get to be a Jedi. In Star Wars film's expanded universe, only a tiny portion of the trillions of people across the galaxy were Force sensitive. So the developer locked Jedi abilities behind conditions that made it becoming Jedi difficult and mysterious. And this is why people loved it. This is why people that originally bought Star Wars Galaxies loved it. Okay, eventually the developers were pushed to make becoming Jedi easier, and it's one of the developers called the most infamous patch in video game history. They turned Jedi into basic class options, and the game was never the same after. They killed it. They killed it with it. Okay? Okay. Before that, though, Star Wars Galaxies was a true sandbox MMO, an online space that players created their own identities and the goals within. Impossibly ambitious. Okay? Sure, doomed to turn off a lot of players, sure, but bold in a way that made the players who loved it really love it. I was thinking about the commitment of a Jedi when they talked to the creative director of upcoming survival MMO Dune Awakening after watching the new film, which all of this is Paul becoming a Dune equivalent to Luke Skywalker to grossly oversimplified things. He says, quote, "It's funny that you mentioned Star Wars Galaxies. That was a huge inspiration for us," Joel said. Okay, this is the style of MMO we really liked in the old sandboxy MMOs. The World of Warcraft came out and everyone copied that for a few years and still do. But a lot of us old school MMO players, Funcom, has been around for a while, and we've made one of the originals with Arcane Online. Or Anarchy. Okay, Joel says an MMO says he has also been making games back in 2001 when Funcom launched online. He's also that the Secret World flawed but creatively ambitious game that deserved credit as one of the games, the last games of the genre, to try to do something really different from WoW. In his opinion, MMOs peaked in the popularity around 2010, with most developers abandoning attempts made enormously expensive MMOs after the pivoting of a hotter genre like MOBAs. These days, survival games may be the most consequential popular genre on Steam. It's the most coincidence of Funcom that's been making them for years, and Joel actually sees them natural descendant of the kinds of MMOs he loved. The crafting part of MMO became survival games. A similar private server of MOBAs were like MMO PvP minigames back in the day. The survival elements are a different kind of a funnel into the game. Last, there was a thing to think about. But I don't think there's miles apart. I think the concept of the survival games are that the sandbox breaking off from MMOs, and we can bring them back. Dune Awakening isn't explicitly following the path of Star Wars Galaxies Jedi system, but it's trying to stay true to Dune's lore. Players won't become the sister, but it's also learned on how they use the powers from rogue trainers. More broadly, Funcom is aiming for the MMO in which they can make your own way of enjoying crafting and building, selling your creations, and architectural blueprints to other players rather than following quest lines if you prefer. See, I love this. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is why I like Star Wars Galaxies. So not everyone can obtain everything. You need, and it starts to build a community around it. Right? The elephant in the desert in terms of being inspired of the Galaxies is also that, well, the game failed, so why Awakening succeed while following in its footsteps? He says, well, it's not a full Star Wars Galaxies, Joel said. Awakening is doing classes or some other heritage MMO features that was also in survival game aspects taken precedent. Okay, he argued that the nailing in the fundamentals makes a big difference in how players will react in the sandbox game. It doesn't necessarily let everyone run around as a heretic. Because also the game director also says that the game feels really good to play moment to moment, and the way that you move in the world, the way you shoot around the world, driving, if all those things feel great, and then you have the amazing universe around it, it's gonna be fine. I like what he says there, right? I like what he's saying. And look, this is going to be a niche. This is going to be a niche community, right? Dune itself is a very popular book and film series, okay? And now the new movies are coming out. But just like Star Wars Galaxies, Star Wars used to be a niche community. Loved by many, okay? Most popular, sci-fi film ever, okay? And then when the games came out, people started liking because Star Wars became a household name and whatnot. And when Star Wars Galaxies came out, there was a shit ton of people that played it. Not WoW numbers, but people loved what the game was. And when they tried to market it as everyone can be everybody, that's why you get the game of, the Old Republic, where you can be a Jedi from the start, right? Because it failed when they changed the identity of what the game was. People loved what Star Wars Galaxies was, and they changed it, and that's why it got pushed back. And that's why it failed. Okay? Hence why there's still a community today that still runs that game off on their own servers. You can still play Star Wars Galaxies right now. Okay? I think if you brought that game back and upgraded the graphics to what like Dune's doing right now, it would be still a niche community, but it would be a big hit with them, right? And I think that's what's going to happen here. Just like Conan's a niche community, just like No Man's Sky is a niche community. Okay? All these survival games, when you say survival, people are like, survival game, I don't want it. But now you say a survival game with IPs that you like. People like Conan. They enjoyed Conan more than Ark. Ark was a flash in the pan. You know what I mean? People liked it because of dinosaurs. Who doesn't like dinosaurs, right? But a lot of people like the IP. And Dune, people like the IP. People like the world that they would like to live in and fantasize about being in that world. I think it's going to do good. I hope it's a very good game, and I hope it sticks to more of the lines of what Galaxies did, because a lot of games don't do that anymore, or haven't done it since then. Mechs are now available on Helldivers, are they? Oh, not yet. Mechs are available soon. Well, they're in certain people's games. So what's a survival MMO? Die and lose all your items, like RuneScape? I think... Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Conan, you can make your own private server. You can make open to the public. You can lose all your stuff when you die, or you just die, right? So if I run like 10 miles across the map and then I die, and then I have to come back and pick up my stuff. Or I just lose everything, right? Which then makes you completely... play differently, because if you have all the stuff on you and you're going to lose it, then you don't take all the stuff with you, right? It's more of a risk take. So if you go out to get resources, you have to try to get back. You gotta be nimble, and you gotta make sure you don't overbear yourself. Sorry, off topic. If there's an insider source on Twitter mentioned yesterday that today's PlayStation Post Horizon Forbidden PC specs, that they were correct, and now they just mentioned tomorrow Ghost of Tsushima PC. Yeah, we know about the Ghost of Tsushima rumors. We'll see if it comes out tomorrow, or if they announce it tomorrow. Steam compares it to Rust. I think Rust in Dune Land. Okay. Yeah, but there's a lot of systems in Rust that are not like Star Wars Galaxies. I didn't play much of Rust. I played it when it first came out. I'm excited. I'm excited. I think this will be interesting when it comes out. I do like my survival games, and I do like my IPs that I know. Hence why I'm interested in Outlaws, Star Wars. I'm interested in the Transformers Reactivate more than the First Descendant. First Descendant I had a lot of fun with. But if First Descendant comes out the same time as Transformers Reactivate, I'm going to lean more towards Transformers Reactivate because I know that IP. I'll tell you what. I hope this game doesn't come out anytime soon because I got plenty of games to play. I don't need to lose my time inside the Dune universe. No, I haven't tried Sons of the Forest, but I did watch... who did I watch? I watched someone play it. I'm not a big... Because it's sort of like a horror type of thing. I like it, but I don't love it. Not that I'm afraid of like horror things. It's just not my genre that I like. When Transformers hit, I'm gone. Really excited about Transformers. I'm really excited about Transformers Reactivate. I think that's the next game I put 1,000 hours in. Just off the name. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully it's good. I see Dune Awakening coming in 2026 for Part 3 in late 2027. When did Dune 1 come out? When did Dune 1 come out? 2021? Or is it 2022? October 22nd, 2021. Five, 26. Yeah, I can see late 26, early 20, like 26, 27. I can see that. Yeah, it says here it was taking 21 months between the releases. So using that same sort of timing would mean that Dune 3 would agree or grace the movie screen in just over 3 years if everything worked out. Film potential release sometime in 2027 or early 2028. Yeah. Yeah, Dune 1 came out straight to streaming because during COVID that time. Clip says, yeah, I'm actually happy that Suicide Squad Season 1 is at the end of this month so I can play Spider-Man 2 New Game Plus, and then Star Wars, I'm probably going to get that too. My backlog's killing me at this time. I thought the theaters were shut then. They weren't shut, just people weren't going. You could actually go to... I went to a lot of movies back then. Theaters were completely empty. Best news of the day. Dave the Diver is getting physical release. Aren't they getting a Godzilla or update or DLC? Wearing masks in theaters. Yeah, that was pretty stupid then. Considering every time someone took a bite of their popcorn or their sip of their drink, they would remove the mask, the popcorn, then put the mask back on. Because that's how it works. That's how it works. It takes a time out when you're eating popcorn. All right, what we got here? Let's see. Sadat the Gamer 12 minutes ago posted, I can't believe Warner Brothers wants to invest in live service free-to-play games. What are they thinking? And then he shows a list of... He posts the top games or current players. It's Counter-Strike, Dota, PUBG, Battlegrounds, Apex Legends, Blade Point, Pal World, Helldivers, Last Epoch, Grand Theft Auto 5, right? And then Fortnite, this past year, in January, Fortnite playtime on consoles last month, top Call of Duty, EA Sports, FC, GTA 5, and Roblox combined. The big word there, combined. All of those things combined. Yeah, no, nobody wants to play the free-to-play live service games. And now people are talking about how they're worried about Hogwarts 2, right? The sequel will be a live service. And I'm like, I can't believe the first one wasn't a live service game, to be honest with you. I want to see an AI-made Warhammer 40k trailer. Or want to see AI. Nah, I'm good. I'm good. We'll talk about this tomorrow. Yeah, everyone thinks that live service games are the problem. And that's not the problem. Bad games are the problem. Oh, they're updating the Star Tours. Oh, but that's in Paris, not here. All right, what do we got? True, I think it's easier to make a bad live service game. No, I don't think it's easier to make a bad live service game. I think there's live service games that work very well. Right? I think it's just really hard to make a game. And then to make a game where you're structured, there's a difference between making a live service game where you make the game first and then make it live service, and then making a game based around a microtransaction, right? Like, you know what I'm saying, Jones? Like, if they don't make the game based around the live service and they just make the game and then make live service with it. Like, No Man's Sky is a live service game. It's not based around live service. Like, they're not trying to nickel and dime you for everything. I went to a mask-only club in 2020. Never going to forget that night. A mask-only. I don't even want to get involved with that. Like, just thinking of the parameters while you're dancing and you're at a club. Everyone's drinking. So who's got the mask on? Just putting it out there. I'm just asking. Everybody says it's easier to make bad anything because something good takes effort. Right. Just make a good game and then try to revive. I don't think Suicide Squad is a bad live service game. One, we don't even know if it's a good live service game yet because we don't have the live service part of the game. Right now, they made a game and they're trying to fix that game. Right? So once the live service aspect comes into the game, then we can say it's a bad live service game. If it's bad. Jones says, making a game and selling a game is easier than making something that relies on player base, is what I'm saying. I'll use Suicide Squad. You don't need a player base for Suicide Squad. Right? You don't need to make a player base for Suicide Squad. You can play that game single player by yourself the entire time. You never even need to play with anybody else. You can do all the content in the game by yourself. It's a live service game with the non-live service aspect in the game right now. It's not a bad game, but people say it's a bad live service game. How do they know? We have yet to get a battle pass. We have yet to do anything that makes this a live service game. Right now, it's just a single player game. That's the worst part about Suicide Squad right now. People can't play with their friends. It's just a single player game. Other people can't even get into the game. Playing this indie game that just had a full release because Secrets of Grindia. So damn good. Best $13 I spent in a while. I'll have to check it out. That's what I'm saying, Eclipse. I put 100 hours in that game and I played how many matches with people online? Not very much. We played, what, 2 streams? Maybe 6 hours of my 100? Right? I played a couple matches with Mr. Luke. Didn't play that much with people online. I just think everyone wants to say live service games are bad, and I would rather have a live service game that continues, right? Like, Hogwarts Legacy is a fantastic single-player game. I think, and I've said this before it even came out, I thought it was going to be a live service aspect of the game. I still think it should be a live service where they keep adding stuff to that game, and it's like a story as I'm going through, okay? Starfield is a single-player game, but they're adding stuff to it as we go to make the game better. No Man's Sky was a single-player game that became a multiplayer live service game, right? Those games all became better, or most of those games became better over time. Fallout 76 was shit. Now, it shouldn't have been shit when it came out. It should have been a released game when it came out and then got better, not be shit and then fix itself. It should have came out, been good, and then it should have been a live service game. Mike, you gonna play Pacific Drive? I'm not. Not this time. Why do you think live service has a stigma? I think anything gets a stigma, regardless if it's live service or not, when there's bad people that make that thing to join them. You know what I'm saying? Like a battle royale is on a bad game mode, but when everyone does it and then some people do it worse than others, it gives it a bad stigma. A live service game gets a bad rap because there's games out there that try to become live service, but they do it more microtransactions than the actual service part, right? Like every MMO in history is a live service game. You're paying monthly for that, first off. but they do Christmas events and Halloween events and different events within the game itself. That's a live service game, right? So when they did live service, good, everyone was fine with it. No one had any issues with it. But now, because there's microtransactions in these live service games, live service is bad. Well, no, the microtransactions are bad. But the live service aspect of that game is not bad. Helldivers 2 broke the mold of recent games of service being bad trends, and now the floodgates are now going to reopen. I don't know if Helldivers did it. I think Helldivers is the latest one to do it, but there was other games ahead of time that had good live service games. If anything, No Man's Sky should have changed that, not Helldivers. No Man's Sky hasn't charged anything in 7 years. It's a live service game. There's been plenty of other games that have not been shitty live service games. And I think they just lump in live service games like, fucking live service game. Who doesn't like games that... If you like an IP, right? Whatever IP that is. If it's Marvel, Transformers, Star Wars, Harry Potter, whatever. Who wouldn't want a game that constantly just keeps them in that game? As long as you like that game and they give you more stuff for that game, what's the problem? It's the problem when the game is broke, buggy, unfinished, and they're doing live service and they're charging $25 for a skin and the game is still broke. It's not the live service aspect of it. It's the greedy suits that want the microtransactions pushed harder than the actual what the game is. It's the Trojan horse games that come in that pretend they're a game and really they're just a mall. And then they give a bad name to everybody else that's doing live service correctly. So that's what I think. Oh, right now, if you guys are interested, I saw an ad yesterday. I had to go to the store, but I didn't go. I'm going to go today. They're selling, if you guys are looking to get a replacement controller at Walmart, they're selling controllers, I think it's white and black, for $44. So if you're looking for a replacement controller, it's not a pro controller or anything like that. It's just a standard wireless controller is $44, where they're usually like $60, $64. Oh, wow. Andor and Obi-Wan Kenobi are getting 4K Ultra HD physical releases on April 30th. You can keep that, Disney. Yeah, Anthem. Anthem is a good example of a bad one because they didn't finish the game. There was no end game, and they were missing stuff for the actual characters in the game, right? Evolve, that was the 4v1 thing, right? And they just microtransaction that game to fucking shit. Marvel's Avengers was actually good, and here's what I'll say, Krebsy, because they had the character pass that they gave 6 of them for free when the game first came out to everybody. As long as you played the game and went through each of those characters, you had enough to never purchase any of the stuff that came out in the future for other characters. Okay? But the problem with Marvel's Avengers is that they didn't give a shit, and they broke the game, and they never fixed that game. If they fixed that game, the content that would have came out for it, I don't think people would have had a problem paying for the microtransactions and stuff. But they just didn't make the game work. Babylon's Fall was a cash grab. Battlefield 2076. Battlefield 2042. I mean, that's a shitty game when it came out. Breaking Point, same thing. Yeah, House is like involved. Yeah. Jones is like, whoa. Evolve was fun. Yeah, but you know why I didn't make it? Because they fucking microtransactioned the shit out of that game. That's why. PlayStation 5 or Xbox? For what, Jones? You don't know if microtransactions was the reason? It's 100% the reason. Is 100% the reason that game failed. Oh, for Xbox controllers, Jones. Yeah, the first thing I looked up in the Reddit forums, it says the main thing I've ever heard about Evolve was the ridiculous leveling of monetization. The concept was strong for the 4v1 sync shooters have been popular. Payday, Left 4 Dead, etc. But publisher pushed microtransactions too far and the market responded. It's exactly why it failed. No, they were selling the monsters. There was only a handful of monsters. It was a $60 full-priced game, and then they were charging for the monsters. They were literally microtransactioning everything in that game. That's exactly why it failed. See? This is a perfect example, Jones, and I'm not making fun of you. But we have memories in our head that you like a game, so you forgive it. Okay, you forgive it because it was a fun game. And video games are supposed to be fun, right? But the majority of the population decides if a game makes it or breaks it, right? In this situation, Suicide Squad to me is that fun game. But the majority of the population that didn't play it are the ones making that game is bad because it's a bad live service game, or it's not a Batman game, or didn't respect the Justice League. Many players had problems with the Evolve. That's not why it failed, House. It literally failed because of the microtransactions. The same reason that Star Wars Battlefront 2 was talked about as one of the worst games, even though the microtransactions didn't launch when the game came out. It was the pre-game that came out that I remember Shroud was playing and he paid $80 for the Darth Vader and the Luke Skywalker stuff, and people started bitching and whatever, right? And then they changed it before it came out, but it was already too late, right? Mind you, that game sold 12 million copies, okay? And that was a failure. Go figure, right? It sold 12 million copies, and that was a failure. And then the faux pas on that was that game bombed because of the microtransactions. Well, it didn't bomb. It sold 12 million copies. I think you need to have played Marvel's Avengers as much as I did in order not to judge Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Hey, I'll be honest, Alien. I don't know if you're making fun of me or if you're saying the same thing. But people don't know what that game is until they played it. But the faux pas about Marvel's Avengers is people just think it was a microtransaction hell and it was a shitty game. It wasn't a shitty game. It was just wasn't a supported game from the people that were trying to make it a live service game. Right? They just abandoned it. My experience was people dodging the queue because they weren't the monster. I mean, I guess. Hey, you got to put 1,100 hours in before you can figure. Hey, you don't know what you're talking about unless you put at least 1,100 hours in. I think I have more than that, actually. And you know what's funny, Alien? We look at it now and go, man, I miss Marvel's Avengers. Right? Come on. You kind of wish that Suicide Squad was a little bit more like Marvel's Avengers. The potential blown on Marvel's Avengers is astronomical. The amount of potential that it literally could be printing money to this day. But the people that made that game didn't give two shits. Right? And I'm not talking about the devs. I'm talking about the people that said, yeah, let's make this a microtransaction hell. Are you ready for this? I hit 4,000 hour mark. Jesus. Can we just get a Goonies game, please? What would that be? Would that be like a like an Uncharted type of game? Ron? Would that be like an Uncharted type of game? It's a four-player co-op game, puzzle game that you go on an adventure. Well, you just go through the movie. Water, what are you talking about? What would you do? Obviously, you couldn't do the same movie. Like, you just watch the movie and get the keys, you know, the clues. Goonies as a grounded game. Pretty good. Just like Marvel Heroes, that game was doing pretty damn good. Came out in console version because it did so good on PC and still doing that. I don't know what happened. When they came out, something happened with the publisher on the back, not the publisher, the developer on the other side, and that's why they closed down. I don't like when people compare Suicide Squad to Avengers. They have no powers. What else could they do? I think the map and the mission design are the biggest issue. No, I think the biggest problem that people have with Suicide Squad House is that the guys are carrying guns. Honestly. Here's the major problems with Suicide Squad. I think the missions and stuff are fine in the game. I think the actual base of the game is a good game. People have a problem that it's not Batman, that your characters are using guns all the time, and you know, that's it. That's it. Like the actual what you do in the game at launch and what the game, all the stuff that you do in the game, there's more stuff. And I stand by this. There's more stuff in this game day one in the game than there was in Destiny, than there was in Division, than there was in any other live service game that came out to this date. Okay? There's more stuff to do in this game than any of the other games. When we think of Destiny, you don't think day one Destiny. You're thinking like year 3 Destiny, right? When you think of Division, you're thinking year 2 or 3 in Division. You're thinking Division 2. You're thinking Destiny 2. You're thinking of Anthem 7 months in when they actually fixed most of the stuff, right? Now, this game can be just like those games as well, where they don't fix it. It's still bug, broke, and it doesn't work 7 months from now. But until that point, right now, day one, there's more stuff to do in this game than any of those other games, period. Robert Jones says, Evolve died because they didn't make enough off the microtransactions. Goonies would be more of along the lines of It Takes Two co-op. Yeah. No, actually, you know what it would be? Goonies would be like the Tale of Two Brothers. Or a Take-Two type of thing. Where you're on an adventure and you're never fighting anything. But you're figuring out puzzles together to do things. That would be interesting. What would they do besides guns? How many different boomerang attacks could you have? He has boomerang attacks, right? Shark does melee stuff. There are special abilities. I like how we could play like an Assassin's Creed game, right? And you're doing the same slice and stab and do all that. You do the same 5 moves. Or you play like a Diablo and you're doing just the A button, X button, you know, like little combo. You're doing the exact same things all the time. And that's okay. But when you're doing Suicide Squad, they're like, it's only like 4 or 5 things. It's like there's only 4 or 5 things in any of the games that you play, right? You build your guy, and then that's what it is. Sea of Thieves, but Goonies. Yeah, but would that be a problem, Low Water, if you could play offline? I mean, I know it's a problem. I'm not saying it's not a problem, right? But would it be a problem if you could play by yourself offline? They made the problem themselves by making it an online-only game. Yeah, but how would you make the guns more interesting, House? How would you make the guns more interesting? Game like Suicide Squad? I'd say yes, because it's meant to be enjoyable multiplayer. Sure. So was Avengers. Right? Avengers' problem was that it wasn't crossplay. Right? Now we have a game that's crossplay. So it doesn't really matter what the player base is on what platform. The guns all shoot the same or similar. It needs more impact and variety. I mean, the SMG fires different than the shotgun. The shotgun fires different than the pistol. The pistol fires different than the sniper. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, I think you're just being very generalistic, though, Titan. None of those guns feel the same. Right. I guess because you're pressing the right trigger. I don't know. Like, are you saying, like, different shotguns should feel different from each other? Because the different guns feel different from each other. So, like, a different pistol should feel different from a different, you know, from one pistol should feel different than another pistol based on what the perks are on it. Because the variety of guns feel different. So are you saying, like, the guns themselves in the category of the pistol, the shotgun, the sniper, they should feel different based on what the perks and stuff on them? Because there are pistols that do all, like, there's certain pistols that feel different from other pistols. Guns in the same class have no variety, but they do. I think we need a third-person cover shooter, Halo. Did you see that someone's making Helldivers inside the Forge inside of Halo? Eclipse says, I mean, shotguns do feel different. Some shotguns shoot a lot, and the others shoot are pumped. SMG shoots like the same as the minigun? No, it doesn't. Yeah, I already bought it. I bought it this morning. Water. We'll be playing it tonight on stream. Checking it out. My son wanted it. So I was like, all right, we'll buy it. I just bought the standard version. I didn't buy the season pass or anything like that. Souls like driving. That's right. Yeah, I think the guns do feel different. I mean, have you tried different guns in the game? The different, like, notorious weapons are completely different. What if I was more ability focused, like Anthem? I mean, it can be ability focused. It all depends on how you make your build and build up your to build up your meter to do your special ability more. I mean, I understand what you guys are saying as far as the variety and stuff like that, but there are things there. I mean, what's all right? All right, let me ask you this, right? I played Destiny for 7 of the 10 years that it was out. Okay? As the hunter, now obviously when the game first came out, okay, I had my, I don't even think it was out. I forget what the abilities were in Destiny in the very beginning. There was no bow, right? I'm trying to think if I had my knife build that I had, right? You would just do the same ability, and there was 3 abilities that you could have, but you only use one at a time. So you're choosing your primary, your secondary, your heavy, or your ability, right? Right? So now let's take that same exact thing and put that into Suicide Squad. You got your top 2, you got your melee, and then you have your ability. What's the difference? Destiny Year 1 to Suicide Year 1. Now everyone's going to be like, well, Destiny was a good game. Regardless, that's subjective. The amount of things that you could do in that game compared to doing what you were doing in this game. Now remember, the meta in Destiny 1 was run the same character 3 times so you could get the gear that you wanted, and then they stopped you from doing that. So you had to make one of each character because they wanted you to play the game longer. You had to use each of the characters. So you couldn't have 3 hunters. You had to, they changed that along the way. Okay? But if you were a hunter, or if you were a warlock, or if you were a titan, you only had one ability, a gun, a main gun, and a heavy. What's the difference? Altern says Destiny Year 1 was trash, and everyone that says otherwise should take a look back on the list of things they do in it that year. Yeah, we have this memory of that Destiny was the greatest game ever, and I love Destiny 1, but Year 1 Destiny was a very, very limited state of the game. Remember, they built that game in 13 months when it launched. They swiped it 13 months after they were working on it for so many years. 13 months, they redid the wheel, brought that game out. Not until Taken King was the game a game. It was fun. We enjoyed it. But there was a lot of problems with that game. Have I given up on Battlefield? No, I just don't have time. I haven't played it in like 2 months. I think the last time I played it was like maybe beginning of January. I don't know. It was on stream. I just don't have time. I only play games 3 nights a week: Monday, Tuesday, Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and then I play different games throughout the weekend. But I don't stream those. I don't have time. Exotics, strikes, Crucible kept people busy until the raid dropped. Well, the PvP is not in the game yet for Suicide Squad. I don't think there's going to be raids, and if there is raids, that's probably down the line, right? So I can't compare that. I do agree with you with strikes. There should be some sort of kind of thing like strikes, which is sort of like what they have now with the different. They don't have anything like a strike in the game, but they are bringing it in season 1, right? There are strike type of stuff coming in season 1, strongholds, strikes, or whatever. Okay. Okay, we have exotics. We have multiple exotics in the game. Altern says, Destiny Year 1 was so bad that it was the game that made me no longer pre-order games. That's how bad it was. Mine was Division 1. What stopped me from pre-ordering games. $32 people here. 30 and Still Gaming. Aren't you playing all the games we play? Yeah. I can't play all the games. I'm playing quite a bit of games though. I am dipping my toe in lots of different games. I mean, I have. What do I have in? Let me look at what I got. Let me see what I got in. In Helldivers. Total 56 hours and 56.1 hour. In Deep Rock Survivor, I have 19.6 hours. Power World, I have 32.5 hours. I mean, that's pretty good. Between Power World, Deep Rock Survivor, Helldivers, and Suicide Squad, I'm over 100 hours in that game. We got 100. We got 60, 70. I'm over 200 hours with the 4 games I've played on stream this year. We played Space Trucker for a couple hours. Star Trucker, that's what it's called. Star Trucker. We played that for 3 hours. 2 hours. Unless I stop playing, I can't even watch 30 stream one game. I think Mystery of Destiny, not knowing exactly what it is, and Bungie pedigree all played a part in keeping the game alive. The amount of times I heard the game is so much potential. Me and Sarge talk about this all the time. The best part about Destiny to me was when we played the alpha/beta, whatever you want to call it, and we were in the Cosmodrome, and you would go around the shipyard, okay? You go around the back section, and there was a cave there, okay? Which later came out, you know, when we got the game, you would level up, and you saw skulls inside there, okay? That is what was the driving force, right? Like, obviously, there was no, what's the word I'm looking for? Expectations about Destiny. It was a generic shooter. We didn't know what it was, but we knew it was from the creators of Halo, right? Loved Halo, liked Bungie. Bungie made Destiny. I liked Halo, and that's why people started playing. Then you started playing the game, and you're like, oh, this is cool, right? Very simplistic, right? It was very simplistic for what they were doing, but it was intriguing what they did. Then once you play through the story, you're like, this is a pretty shitty story, right? How many people complained about, I don't have time to explain, and then you went to the Black Garden, and when you were done with the Black Garden, you're like, this was fucking stupid, right? It was fucking stupid. One of the worst boss fights, okay, ever, and boss fights in the game. Like, it was terrible. The Black Garden boss fight was absolute trash. Then they came out with Dark Below, which is what, December? Came out in September. September, October, November, December. Right? So you had to wait 4 months to get more content. Then you had to wait till May, right? I think it was. Or was it March? I think it was May for House of Wolves. Then you had to wait till September again to get Taken King. And then that's when it all kind of changed. That's when everyone was like, dude, this is so good. Because then you had multiple raids in the game. So 12 months later, you had 3 raids. You had 9 strikes or whatever it was, right? You had multiple things you could do. So now everyone's comparing that game to Suicide month 1, right? Division wasn't very good when it came out. It got better within 1 year. All this costs money, right? That's right, Eclipse. That's right. The game, full price. The expansions was what's it called? It was $20 a piece if you bought them individually. It was $15 if you pre-ordered it 1 year ahead of time, basically. When you pre-ordered the main game, it was $30 extra. So you were paying $90 to get that. And then you had to pay Taken King was full price, right? Wasn't it 50? Or was it 40? I think it was 40. Right? So all in all, by the 1 year's time, okay, 1 year's time, you had to pay $130 to get all that stuff. And if you bought them ahead of time, it was $125. I'm sorry, $120. Right. Right. Taken King is when they disabled the game for anyone else with the DLC. That's right. Right. But we all remember it as being like this amazing game. Right. Now, Suicide Squad's been out a month. And everyone's like, fucking game's dead. Garbage. Not going to last a year. And I'm like, man, I guess you didn't play Destiny. I guess you didn't play Division. I guess you didn't play any other game that was a live service game that came out and got better over time. Right? I had someone make a comment the other day. I've never seen a game drop this fast. And then yet, No Man's Sky, okay, when it came out was enormous, the amount of sales they made, okay? And it dropped off a cliff a month and a half into the game. Less than 1,000 people played that game. And then went dormant. Went dormant for like almost 2 years. Right? Then someone said, well, I've never seen a game go on sale that fast. Cyberpunk, 8 days after it came out, went on sale. 8 days. And that's the game that everyone loved. 8 days after it came out, they put it on sale. People have short goldfish memories. They don't remember. They like to remember what they remember. Guess they also had different planets to go to. That felt different. That many different enemy types. I don't know. Just worked for me. But I played it for Dark Below dropped. Sure, there was different planets and whatnot. And they sold you those planets back down the road. Right? I'm not saying I didn't like Destiny House. I'm just remember it a lot different than a lot of people do. Right? Everyone's like, oh, the end game in Destiny was great. Oh, was it? Was it? Then why were people shooting into a cave? You had to wait 2 weeks for the raid to come out. Right? Majority of the population couldn't even get in the door of the Vault of Glass, by the way. And then, when they figured out how many people actually did the Vault of Glass, it was like 1% of the entire player base. So inclusive. So inclusive. Yeah, Forever 29, right? There were so many things. So many things. You could only run the raid once a week. You could only run the Nightfall once a week. With each of the characters, you had to make 3 characters. You had to play through the... Right? It's exactly right, Eclipse. Right? Eclipse is saying, I'm not saying Destiny's bad. I'm just saying people are mad as hell that Suicide Squad costs $70 and it's not complete. But they're fine with $120 in the game complete and good. Right. A year later. That's right. Right? And we forget, because in the meantime, while we were playing Destiny, we played Crucible. Right? We played Crucible. I feel like they took 2 weeks until the raid dropped so you can get your gear score up. No? No. Well, the real reason was it wasn't ready. And even when it was ready and when it came out, I think within the first 2 months, my mind might be a little blurred. 1% of the 1%ers did it. It was very, very few people did the actual raid, that completed the actual raid. Majority of the population didn't even get into the raid. To this day, it's less than 5% or 8% of the people did the actual raid in Destiny 1. Majority of the population quit the game. It was like 78%, 80%, 88%. I forget what it was. It was an 8 in there, right? It was between 78 and 88% of the people played the campaign and put the game down. Then everyone started to cheat and went downhill fast due to the balancing issues. Damn casuals. Right. And then we pushed Atheon off the cliff. That's right. That's right. I just think people are really quick to jump on something because everyone's a lemur, right? A lemur? Is that a lemming? A lemming, right? Where someone jumps off a cliff and everyone just likes to follow. So when someone talks shit about a game, everyone likes to pile on that game because that's the cool, hip, fun thing to do, right? Where they forget that they also liked a game that got shit on and got better over time. Like, insert game here. And the worst part is, they keep watching content of that thing they hate, and they keep commenting on those things they don't like, which is just mind-boggling to me. And the reason they do that is because they're heartbroken. Because the thing that they were interested in is being shit-talked on, and they don't want to admit that they like it. They want to make sure they look like they also hate it, even though they're really interested in it. Hence why they go to every video of it to watch stuff, to hear that little glimpse of if someone is talking good or bad about it so they can feel better about themselves. And that's the real reason. The people that are haters keep watching. Well, even if they did play it, they don't want to admit they played it. Right, Water? Because people are talking shit about it. And because they care so much what people think, they don't want to admit to themselves that they like something that might be, at this time, a bad game. See? I'm too old for this shit. I like Suicide Squad. I understand it's in a bad spot right now. I understand it could fail. Right? But it's okay. I got my money's worth. I stand exactly where I said a year ago when I said I'm getting the game for the single-player campaign, playing the game, and when I'm done with it, I put it down. And the end game was extra content for me. It's exactly what I said over a year and a half ago. It's what I say today. Got my money's worth. And I don't care if someone thinks it's a bad, shitty game. I spend my money on what I want to spend on. I spend my time what I want to spend my time on. I talk about what I want to spend my time talking about. And I played the game. I enjoyed the game. Someone comes in and be like, you're full of shit. You think you're coping. I'm not coping at anything. I did exactly what I said I was going to do. I played Suicide Squad and I made it. Hell, I played 500 plus hours in Diablo 4 and I enjoyed it. But I saw a wizard behind the curtain and stopped. And that's the thing, Water. I'm glad you used that analogy, right? And everyone will see the wizard at some point. It all depends on when you see that wizard. Some people see the wizard 3 hours in. Some people see the wizard 3,000 hours in. Yeah, I love Suicide Squad. Can't wait for March the 28th, and I'm really excited about it. When I want to do the story is going, I want to see where all that stuff. And I feel like I'm waiting for the the comic book came out. I gotta go to the comic book store to pick up my next copy. They text me. They did. That's a good job. The Taken wasn't in the game when it first came out. The Taken didn't come in until 1 year later. Remember that. There was no Taken in Destiny when it first came out. And then when they came out with a Taken, I remember that. I remember everyone was pissed off. They're like, these are just skins of everything that's already in the game. Destiny was like, or Bungie was like, and you paid $40 for that. They'll shoot at the same stuff. Bungie, people in Destiny don't bitch about that stuff. People in Destiny don't bitch about shooting at the same things over and over. No one's bitching about shooting at the same things in Division 2 or Division 1. Still shoot the cleaners. Still shoot the Black Tusk. Still shoot at the same people. People that bitch see the wizard. People that don't bitch don't see the wizard. They see the great and powerful Wizard of Oz. Right? They don't see the guy behind the curtain. Each their own. I remember that when I stopped playing D1, I couldn't get into any activity if I didn't buy the DLC. So I left, went back into D2, and was free to play. Yeah, like I said, lots of people have different memories about different things. And hindsight's 20/20, right? Everyone always thinks that this latest, greatest game is shit, and the game that they love that was shit is not shit, right? Because they're still playing it. Makes no sense to me. Each your own. Like what you like. On that note, I'm done for the afternoon. You guys have a great rest of your day. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you like what we do here, you like to go above and beyond, thank you very much for the gifted memberships and the memberships, re-upping for your memberships. You can be a member as little as $5. We're here Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning to about noon Eastern or 1 o'clock. And we'll be back tonight to play some Expedition. The people that made SnowRunners and MudRunners, they'll be playing that tonight on stream, 8 p.m. Eastern. You guys have a great rest of your afternoon. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.